Exclusive intro. Dude, that's what we need to do. We need a media deal, so we do.
Since we've done this before the start,
we're live now.
Is this like?
Hey.
Oh.
Hey.
Is this Plat Chat before dark?
Yeah, we had 10 seconds of audio platform exclusivity right there.
There it is.
We said so many crazy things. That was wild.
10 seconds. That was wild. When I was rethinking Plat Chat for this year, I was like, we don't have like an intro song. Like every podcast I listen to on Spotify or whatever, they have like intro songs. Like we need an intro song of some kind. Even Foreheads has an intro song. But Plat Chat Overwatch doesn't have one.
What do you mean Foreheads has an intro song? They haven't had. You guys have done an episode, like one episode in the last 5 years, and you have an intro song.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Intro song,
Baby fucking Blue made a SoundCloud Foreheads intro. I can't play it. Like I don't know how to broadcast the audio to you, but there's definitely
we should have the Overwatch League kazoo cover. That's the greatest cover of all time.
Sorry,
she would. That should be.
That would go kind of hard.
Heard that?
No.
It's the Overwatch League theme played on a kazoo.
What's a kazoo?
Like those little, like
Johnny, Google kazoo.
Really? You don't know what a kazoo is? Let me Google it in Swedish.
Kazoo.
It's probably kazoo. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say in Swedish it's probably still called as a kazoo.
What the? Dude, it looks like a pipe.
It's like a kid's like. Yeah, it is. It is.
I know you've heard this before. If you've been on the internet, you've heard this before.
Svenska. There you go.
Svenska?
Svenska.
I think Jules just swore in Swedish.
That's a kazoo, bro.
So what? You blow into this shit or something?
No, you blow in the small end, and it just makes like
it's like a flute.
No, the small end.
The other end. The other end. The small end.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then you put the coin on top of the little circular.
Because you have to make a payment. Obviously, it's not free.
Yeah. Microtransactions on the kazoo.
Wait, you put the coin on top?
No, I'm fucking with you. I'm fucking with you. No, you don't put the coin on top.
Dude, I don't know.
It's like a kid's little fucking thing, and it's like it makes like a weird noise. Like
it looks fucking stupid.
But someone did. It looks fucking stupid. All the kazoo players in the chat riot against Johnny. Look, there was an Overwatch League version, the Overwatch League theme song. There's a version of it that's played on a kazoo. It's quite an old one, quite an old meme. I have to dig into the archives for that one.
Yeah, Overwatch kazoo theme. Overwatch League, 12,000 views. Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can't hear it, but I can hear it, and the stream can hear it. But
yeah,
wow, this old intro with the cube, like this thing.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh god, memories.
Look at the old colors, man.
Yeah, was that the Custa Mercy? I saw a green gold Mercy.
Yeah, you better believe it.
It was. Holy
that was the Custa Mercy. Custa's in this video. Wow.
Immortalized in the kazoo theme.
we were like a different league back then. What happened?
Straight up.
But I remember even like the people who were like really, involved with the Overwatch League back then, just like why do we have a fucking cube as an intro? It's just a spinning cube with heroes on it. Like what's going on?
Best we could afford, Johnny.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's the thing. Right now, I would kill for a fucking spinning cube intro. Like, I would kill for that. I just like anything. Honestly, anything.
Any intro.
Yeah.
And give me a spinning cube.
Yeah, if it's a spinning cube, I'm down with it. That's fine with me.
Honestly, Sean, if you're watching, just like do it for the lulz, just for the memes, just one day.
What the fuck are you saying? Would you want a fucking spinning cube? We got like montages for intros now. I was trying to rack my brain to think about.
But I want the montages like on a spinning cube.
The amateur rap songs, right? I forgot.
Yeah,
they're good. I would rather have the fucking montages than a spinning shitty cube, bro. Come on,
like have it all at the same time. You can have the amateur rapping.
Traditional sports, bro. You could tell the broadcast what the direction the
plus the highlights.
It's not all on a spinning cube. What traditional sports has a spinning cube?
I don't know. It looks fucking sports to me, bro. That shit looks
name
dumb
one.
as shit. Well,
Bowling World Championships.
But like, it looks like something from fucking traditional sports. I don't fucking know.
The
but like,
only thing that comes to
way.
mind is like the NFL. They have like a 10-second clip that is like, oh, you're not allowed to like stream this, broadcast this, it's copyrighted, blah blah blah, and it's like a very typical like NFL kind of like, you know, graphic or like video. But besides that, like ESPN, they just go into the game. They don't give a fuck about some intro or something. They're just like, hey, we're live from this arena. Here's the two teams. Here's the starting lineups, and they go. Like, there's no intro. But
I like our intros, bro. They got montages and shit. It's cool as fuck.
Yeah, I guess
that's
Marvel
one thing I asked for.
Drunken Punk pointed out.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
I don't know.
I prefer it to what it was. Just saying.
Warrior mentality. Do we miss the Danny Warrior singing?
Danny is the only one that misses that song.
Literally every single time. Danny was fucking on it.
Mitch opened the show once with that. He did hosting. I think he was covering for Zoe once.
Oh, yeah.
Opened by
it was probably Danny
Warrior.
that talked him into it. It was almost certainly Danny that talked him into it.
I will say, you know, if the boomer kind of like traditional sports enthusiast has something to say, I do like those that all the different channels for like the NFL or whatever, they have like, you know, an orchestra song, or like they have like a theme song for, you know, the league or something. So like every time you hear it, you associate that kind of like theme song with the channel and like the sporting event. And like the Overwatch League, like we don't, I guess that was the closest we got. We had like like that was the closest we got.
We should bring that back.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
Now,
have we not used that in a while? I haven't paid attention.
Our theme song consists of headshot after headshot after headshot, and the fucking Mitch clips. Thunder fucking strikes twice, baby. Like, Jesus Christ, the amount of time I fucking saw that was, or like listened to that was insane. I know for like viewers, it's like not that bad, but like, god damn. When you're like casting that shit for a whole year and you hear the same intro, I'm like, fuck me, bro. Like,
and that's sort of what I mean about the cube. It's just about like consistently new content. Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, yeah, it's, you know, as Johnny said, it was like an acid trip. 2018, 2019, it was like an acid trip where we're like, no one really knew where we were or where we were going. But we were just fucking in it. Now we're here. So, you know,
still in it 6 years later.
Full circle. Avril has a great point that he wants to talk about later.
Yeah. Full circle later.
I can't believe that's where we dropped the.
That's where we're gonna end the line.
That's a season finale right there. You gotta find out next season if you want to know what the hell we're talking about.
Now you have to watch until the end of the episode, because Avril has a really interesting, hyped up point that we've teased now.
Can you DM me this point so I remember what it is?
It doesn't even fucking know, dude. You've set this guy up to fail, bro. What do you mean?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. One more thing, Custa, you went to Toronto. How was it? Did you find the Overwatch team?
I did not find the Overwatch team. It was pretty good. You know, it was fucking snowing. Funnily enough, snowing. The only thing that was like really relevant to anything Overwatch is I was in the most random fucking Boston Pizza in like Ancaster in Toronto, which is fucking like an hour out. And I got recognized by two people in the same random Boston Pizza.
Yeah,
so shout out, if you're watching this, shout out to those two people, because you just don't get recognized anymore. So yeah, there you go, twofer.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Damn. In before the rumor mill starts, and I'm going to start the rumor right now. Custa went to Toronto to coach, maybe, or like try out for the coach or a player for the Toronto Defiant. I've started the rumor. Put it on Reddit. Upvote it. Front page.
Me and Kasora saying cahoots.
Yep, there it is. I don't. There's no link between you and Kantoros, I don't think, but there is now. He went to Toronto for a holiday, but secretly it was for Toronto Defiant.
He went to Toronto.
I guess tangentially related. You guys did bring up the rumor in the pre-show that No Hill was gonna be part of this Toronto Defiant thing. So,
I can't remember where I heard that from.
Did you see No Hill in Toronto?
Was he there?
Were there any hills or were there no hills?
No, there was no hills in Toronto.
No hills.
No hills. Sorry, guys. Sorry, the rumor's false. If I didn't see him in Ontario, Canada, then there's no chance that
it's got to be the craziest rumor I've heard in the off season.
But it makes sense. It makes sense.
I want it to be true. I desperately want it to be true because I want to know what that looks like. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it would be hilarious. If it was true.
If they really do end up being a fully Western, like not even a Western, like American team, No Hill would be just so out of place, but I think it would just make sense. Here's the thing. It kind of makes sense. Like No Hill said he wants to be a coach of a Western team. Yeah. He probably wants to go to Canada. So like, it's not out of the realm of possibility for me. I
think he'd be okay going anywhere in NA, but yeah, I mean, it's just, can you imagine? Because the other
because he has good English, right? He like a serviceable English, right?
Yeah, we've spoken on Discord as English as possible.
You've spoken on Discord. You've been on a voice chat with Noel.
Okay, no. When I say spoken on Discord, I mean we messaged each other.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Pen pals.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you remember that from school? I don't know if you guys ever did that, but the whole like message in a bottle thing, you throw it in the ocean, it might land. So maybe not Scott, maybe not Apple, because he's on a fucking island.
Shame on you, Jack. Shame on you.
Prison island.
Yeah.
Dude, it was a glass bottle, dude.
You know when that shit's that ends up in Australia? That you're the asshole who.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't end up in Australia, dude. Every time, look, not every time. The one time we ever got a response back, it was in my school, and they got a response back from like one of the coasts on the side of like Africa, South Africa side, and they fucking emailed or messaged back. I don't fucking remember.
No shot, no fucking way.
Oh, Donnie's
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I'm not claiming this.
Africa.
I'm not claiming this. I'm not claiming I did this. It was someone in the school. It wasn't me, but they threw it like it was a school project thing where I don't know why the fuck you do it, because you technically are destroying the ocean, right? If the fucking glass bottle breaks or whatever. But
you're saying
they did manage to get one
from here to here.
Some shit like that. Yeah, it was very far away, and people were like, "What the fuck?" Like it took a long time.
Jack, the only message you're getting back is from an environmental activist.
Yeah,
maybe it was. Maybe someone trolled.
They're like, please stop sending bottles into the ocean.
Maybe it was a French guy that
killing
just
the
like, fish. But yeah, I don't know, dude. Look, I cannot prove this story at all, but that is what I heard from my school when we did that shit in school.
One friend told him one time.
Exactly. One friend told him, and then another guy from another fucking school who was dating a girl from another school that you won't know also like through the and that's how they got there. Yeah. Amazing. No evidence, but just a story. There you go.
Amazing. That's dog ate my homework material. It's like, I got a response from a guy in Africa.
It really is. Yeah. Did you? There's no way.
Was it an African prince by any chance?
That shit, but I don't know.
Trying to invest some money somewhere. No, none of that.
African prince. I mean, maybe. I mean, hey,
you get that?
Could have been.
All right.
You don't know that.
All right.
Family mode's taking a whole new form.
That's good times. Good times. So, all right. Let's get started with the episode before it gets too out of control. No Dave Bautista talk today. I know people love their weekly podcast, okay? I know people love, they drive to work, they're working, whatever, they're doing something, and they like listening to Plat Chat. I gotta be honest, this episode is the low point of the off season this year. It's straight up.
I'm trying to hype this episode up, and Johnny's like, guys, just don't listen.
Please listen. It's not going to be a 3-hour show, okay? That's it. And so this one's for the fans. This one's for the homies, that like to listen on a weekly basis. This one's for you people who, are listening to an Overwatch podcast in the middle of January for some reason. Like literally in the middle between season end and season start or whatever.
If we could stretch this bad boy out to 3 hours, we'd be master content creators. That's a real test.
We can do anything. True,
it's a real test.
Put us on radio. But we can just talk. We can just talk forever.
Breaking news: Attack on Titan launches March 4th. We talked about it in the pre-show. There you go, March 4th. Attack on Titan, everybody.
Which season is that, Jack? Be specific.
Anime,
newest one. Final season, part 3.
I've never watched Attack on Titan. I watched like 3 episodes. People always say that, but I got like 4 episodes in, and like it's just people getting guts. It's just
what do you mean?
Sick.
It's just people getting got. Like nothing cool has happened yet. It's just everyone complaining about getting got.
Nothing cool has happened.
They're like, oh shit,
dying.
Oh damn, my family's dead. Oh no, let's move to an inner ring. Oh shit, here they come again. How could we have foreseen this from coming?
Don't worry, listeners. I have no idea. I don't know what they're talking about.
Fun fact: the Attack on Titan acronym. If you add a G at the front of it, it says GOAT. Second thing.
That's a good fact.
It says GOAT.
That's
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It does. It's cool.
Oh my
Just all right.
Jesus Christ,
Suspend
we're moving
disbelief. Second thing, what the hell is final season part 3? Did they to anime?
it's
Do they
bullshit.
not
It's so
understand
stupid.
how seasons work? You can't have a final season 3 seasons running, right? It's just, this is. I wrote this in my Discord. Attack on Titan season 4 part 3 course 1 chapter 5 line 2 paragraph 9 director's cut pre-order digital deluxe edition farm to table GMO free final season. Just kidding, it's actually not the final season. IMAX 3D edition. Is that what we're actually watching?
Not
here?
either. I'm pretty sure it's not even the final part. I think there's like 4 parts. So
No, I think this
anyway,
will, as a manga reader, I'm pretty sure this is where it ends, but it will come out and it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
It's good. This is Gory's like.
I think I would enjoy it if I got through it, but as I said, I watched a few episodes and it just didn't draw me back yet. But like everyone always talks to me about how great it is, so I probably would enjoy it. If I
watch it privately on Discord together, Scott. We'll pirate it. I don't.
Have a watch by. Let's
Legally,
turn this Plat Chat into. We'll just watch Attack on Titan from episode 1. Then
that's good off-season content.
Feel comfortable with that because that was what Tactical Crouch did last off-season. They just did like 2-hour episodes with an hour of Attack on Titans. Yeah,
their podcast is way better than ours. What the fuck?
I remember because I did like some World of Warcraft daily quest or something, and I just listened to Tactical Crouch, and then it's just like. It's like, oh, it's an hour left, and then in the show notes, it's just like, oh, here's an hour of Attack on the Titans recap and speculation, and I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing here?
Bro, it was a boring off season. It was a boring off season.
To be fair, that was the 6th month off season, I assume.
It was a long one.
Wait, we say that. Oh, that one time we had a 6-month off season. Here we are.
This one feels like another 6 months.
2 months into the off season, maybe a little bit more, and we still don't know when anything's happening. So,
all right,
hey, you got any of those fucking jobs? You got any of those fucking jobs?
Any Attack on Titan podcasts out there that I could join?
It's actually quite interesting because throughout the week, let's jump ahead a bit in the script here. Yiska actually had a really good podcast. It was like a 2-hour show, and he invited on some of the general managers, directors, and people around the league. So Pre was on it, for example. Nuki was on it. And so they actually had 2 hours of really good conversation surrounding the league. It was all kinds. It was like revenue, was signing players in the off season, the delay of the signing window, and everything that went into it. So if you're a fan of the league, I'd really recommend going to check out. I think it was on GG Recon YouTube channel. Yiska talking with those people. That was really interesting. And they did talk about the off season, where like the GMs were just like, we know the off seasons are a bit long, and then they had a conversation about like, oh, should we actually pay players like during the off season because they're not really doing anything? That was one argument, and then the other argument was like, well, we're paying them to stay fresh in the game, and also like if there was something to do in the off season, we could actually like let them cook. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it seemed like that was probably the one topic in which all of the participants, all of the guests agreed on. They were just like, why is this off season? Like, why is nothing happening? Like, let us have a 3-month off season. And then just like get back to work, make the league season longer, spread it out a bit more, and then just have a shorter off season. So
it sounds remarkably like the CDL talk from I think a year ago, where they're like, why does the new COD release in November and we don't start the league until 5 months later? And then they actually, I think CDL already started, right? They actually started CDL, the new season, in December.
Yeah.
In December, I think they started. So, yeah, I mean, that feedback came on board and they reduced their off-season dramatically. So, meanwhile, though, in Overwatch League, how you guys doing?
Well, we don't have many game releases, so I don't, like, as much as I agree, but, like...
Okay, my point is they reduced their off-season. That's my point.
And I think we can all agree that, like, the off-season needs to be reduced. Here's the thing. I understand why they don't want to have, like, an 8 to 9 month season, right? Like, because that's a long time for everybody involved. But if they aren't going to have an 8 to 9 month season, they need to fill the gaps with just anything. Like, give the teams a reason. Like, just even, like, a preseason tournament. Like,
give Yaki another $10,000.
Yeah, like, in January... We'll have the teams, they have to like at least have a couple of players signed. Like they have to have 5 players, but they can have temporary signings for this tournament. And then we'll just have a mini tournament or something like that. Just anything to keep the interest with Overwatch high, because like the biggest issue we're having, right? Like Overwatch 2 is like having success, But Overwatch League, nothing's fucking happening, and we still don't think anything's happening for 3 months.
I can tell you one third-party organizer that did actually organize an Overwatch League level with Overwatch League team third-party events in the off-season, and it was from NetEase. Oh, never mind.
No, no, I thought you were going to say something else. Fucking Steel Series, baby. The Steel Series Invitational in 2021. Me and Hex cast it. And it was... I just pulled it up now because I wonder what teams it's in. Gladiators, Uprising, dude. Paris Eternal and London Spitfire. The Paris Eternal, which was the the EU squad, the boys, lads with the bird ring. Spitfire was with the Shaq, Sparker, Hybrid, Blase, like Hardy, Molfig lineup. And then Uprising was with, dude, they still had Soon on this fucking roster. That was with Myeongbong and shit. Like, this is the shit that we need. Like, small ass tournaments like this. Dude, I don't know.
What about the LA Valiant Winter Bowl? What happened to the Winter Bowl?
Probably could message the person that was in charge of that shit, but I doubt they'd. I don't know. Like, I guess they just didn't really see any use in doing it again. I'm not sure, but
so is that the problem because the teams aren't interested in running it anymore? Like the teams
aren't. Because
like I guess the league has never been the ones to initiate. Maybe they should be. Or like
someone has to take on the cost. I can imagine just like everyone's like, well, I don't want to be the one taking on the cost.
Well, another argument they were having on the call was just like that, like Blizzard needs to, like I think Grant from Washington Justice was just like, well, we actually like have sponsors and like we are actually like, you know, getting sponsors and like we're getting revenue this way. Like Blizzard, they need to, for example, find sponsors like Steel Series to like arrange these and like initiate this and actually like put in the legwork to have these tournaments and organize stuff like this. This past weekend, I looked at some Valorant, Ludwig and Tarek. They did like one of these, what's called Beyond the Summit. They did like one of those invitationals here in California where it's like they invite some teams over to their house and they just sit with couches and chat and have a good time and they watch some professional Valorant.
Ludwig and Tarek should do that for us.
Well, yeah, but he's obviously never going to do that. But like, I think, I guess that brings it into the good point of like Ludwig offsets all of those costs and all those things with sponsorships, with all that kind of stuff. Like he's not covering it. Like that does go in hand that like none of these Overwatch League teams are really being able to sell sponsors on that. And the Overwatch League just doesn't have sponsors in general right now. Like, so you can understand why they're not doing anything on the off season, but like it just ties into the whole conversation that we're having of like, well, what are we doing here then? Is everyone just trying to lose as little amount of money every year? Because right now, no one wants to invest in the scope of what the Overwatch League currently is because of how expensive it is. But that for that reason, no one wants to invest any money to be able to just even keep the lights on, because like we don't even have the lights on in this off season. And like, it's not just tournaments happening. Like how many people are talking about the Overwatch League these days? It's like our podcast, Tactical Crouch, and like some other ones, like small ones, like here and there. Like there's nothing really going on. People aren't leveraging the players. People aren't leveraging the coaches. Like even the players aren't really making as much content anymore. Like how many Overwatch League players are content creators anymore?
Like, I mean, yeah. There's a few ones who make some content, but like it seemed to me, just, you know, assuming based on, you know, I listened to the show, that just like the GMs as well, they were just like, well, things keep getting delayed. So very understandable in this case, the NetEase, the problem, of course, where the APAC region, and, you know, you want to make it as fair as possible where the APAC teams have the same opportunity with information about what the region is going to do in 2023, right? So, for example, like, Seoul Dynasty, they can't just be like, oh, this is the year we're gonna throw all kinds of money on our roster and like invest really heavily. Like you can't make that decision unless you know what the fuck is going on with the APAC region and what the plan is and how they want to execute and like this. I actually make a decision how much budget you're going to spend on your roster. So understandably, they delayed the signing window to make it as fair as possible, right? And so that really like hit the players. You know, the players are not getting signed their contracts, and so now they're like unemployed. The teams seem like they actually wanted to announce their rosters. You know, they have their rosters ready to go. Some of them, they just waited for the signing window to come so they could actually sign their roster, and then they're good. So like there's no reason for the teams. Like it's not like they want to sit around either and like save money. Like they just want to sign their roster as soon as possible. Then they want, you know, a couple months to like process visas, because that takes a lot of time. Like if you actually want a Korean player to come to North America, for example, that is the lengthiest process. Like that is what needs the most time. It's actually acquiring that visa, file it, process it, and then travel, of course, and getting situated. But like there's no reason for this. Like besides the NetEase drama, which is a good excuse this time around. Like there's no need to just be in this position that we are now. We have no idea when the new season starts.
Did we have any off-season stuff last season preceding the previous season?
We were still dealing with COVID. I think they were struggling to work out how to get people around with COVID.
Okay, it's true, but the season before that, we had the NetEase, the next tournament, which had Dallas Fuel and Shanghai and stuff, plus Shanghai Masters, and we also then had the Steel Series. So we actually had 3 off-season tournaments going to the 2021 season, going to the 2022 season. I can't remember having any off-season tournaments. And now this year we haven't had any.
The one tournament that really stands out to me was almost like the Pro-Am thing or whatever it was, where like you could have 2 OWL players max per team. I think Custa, you played in that as well. Jake,
the experimental tournaments.
That was engaging.
Yeah.
But like,
when was this?
I can't remember what it was called.
Last off-season. It was like the experimental tournaments and stuff like that they were doing.
Right.
Where they were like players were like submitting.
It's something. Yeah. It's something, but it's not like a Steel Series / Shanghai Masters type of tournament. We don't have that again.
But we just need something.
That is true.
I think that is the big problem here. We have fuck all.
I don't know how
at least a little bit.
I don't know how we went from 3 off-season tournaments, like full OWL level off-season tournaments, to a creative thing to nothing.
Yeah. I think there's 2 ways to go about this. One, a Pro-Am kind of like giant tournament where, or not, maybe not giant, but you have 2 max Overwatch League players per team, and then they can field whoever the fuck they want from solo queue, their friends or whoever, and then we just have a random bracket and they're all thrown fucking in and people just play basically, because all we need is people just sat down and playing.
I think people will, but no one wants to take the cost, and I think that goes back into it. Yeah, like
that is the big problem. As much as the cost is an issue, it does feel like there's also a crazy lack of initiative too, from everybody.
No one wants to take the risk. No one wants to be the guy that takes the risk.
But then Scott was saying a second ago, and I completely agree. Like a lot of players just aren't creating content; they're not streaming, and if they are, like a lot of them just aren't that popular streamers, unfortunately. But then you can only have a few popular streamers per big game anyway. To be fair, there's always like a kind of an upper epsilon, and props to the players that do actually stream.
Player streaming related to this?
Because I think player streaming is still relevant content to Overwatch.
Yeah, it's just like content for viewers to engage with. So I don't blame players for not wanting to stream. That's fair enough if it's not your thing. Fair play. I know Astro's got a fairly big stream in comparatively to a lot of other streamers on the platform for Overwatch 2 and other pro players, to be fair as well. Fucking other option, Plat Chat Invitational, baby. We get the fucking homies, we sit on Johnny's sofa, and then we just have random ass fucking teams of Overwatch League players. Is that going to happen?
Actually, are we doing a Plat Chat Invitational? Get some sponsors involved, invite a few teams.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Don't invite teams, Johnny. We'll make up our own teams. Then the Overwatch League players can join the fucking teams, and we'll have dumbass fucking team names. I don't fucking care what it is. Maybe
why don't you just have the real Overwatch League teams?
And then we can... Okay, sure. Have the fucking real Overwatch. We can have the fucking Boston Uprising, whatever the fuck, right? But then we set up a place in LA. A lot of us are in LA. Sorry, Avril. A lot of us are in LA. We all fucking come together, sit down, Beyond the Summit, Tarek Ludwig Invitational just was. I saw Josh dress up as a fucking hot dog. We can dress up as fucking hot dogs or maybe cheeseburger. I don't know, whatever you want to dress up as, and just have fucking fun. Just something entertaining while there's also gameplay on screen.
I'll reach out to Blizzard and be like, hey, can I buy this license for the third-party tournament?
And that is something that we haven't talked about yet. The issue is that if you want to run a tournament that has the Overwatch League teams, you generally have to pay for a license.
I don't think you have to anymore.
Do you not have to anymore? Because that was a problem in the past. I don't know how, especially if we're just going to have a Plat Chat tournament, is there requirements for that? But then, there's also a lot of issues that we have, just in general with, us kind of running that thing in the offseason. It's so what Western teams could we invite as of right now, right?
No, man.
You can't.
That's why you don't have Overwatch League teams. You don't have Overwatch League teams.
No, it's just easy. Guys, this fucking... I'm not even going to be part of it because I'm not even in LA. So I'm just going to give some freebies out here.
Oh, he's going to give
it's just
free consulting.
Atlanta and Boston are basically full Korean teams. They're all in Korea. They can just play from there. It's not an issue.
And that,
You know what I mean?
that
Like-
would have to be it. I think it would not be something we would have to get the Korean teams on board, and they would have to be playing from Korea. I personally don't agree with the fact that you need to just invite the Overwatch League teams. I think people would love to see a hodgepodge of Overwatch League teams. And I think that would be a lot easier to organize because like people want to see fucking, like proper play with like, I don't know, fucking
Dante.
Kevster. Let's put Proper and Kevster on the same team for fucking a thing and then like see what happens.
Kevster in Korea? What ping is he going to be on?
Well, I don't know.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
One
you
in the
literally
chat.
just
One in the chat if you want our teams, two if you want a hodgepodge. I think I don't know.
I think our teams are bullshit. I don't think you should be able to do that.
Really?
Like, it should just be random names in a hat.
You sure?
Because otherwise,
Because
I think it's going to be too hard to organize.
And literally
I think,
just fucking blow their load on everybody, and they're just going to win. Like, what's the fucking point?
I think actually watching a Boston versus Atlanta would be way better, but that's just me.
That's a fucking show match. Like, you're missing the point.
It's more teams. It's more than it's more than two teams.
Completely missing the point, Avril.
But
You're completely missing the point. Just random players,
isn't the
random
point to
teams,
have just
go.
a thing happen? Like, isn't that the point?
But like, is all of Boston, like the entire Boston roster probably isn't in North America, right? Like we say North American teams, but even their players probably aren't all out here. And they're probably going to be all over the fucking world because people are all over, especially at this point, right, of the off season. As you get closer, like we went into March, it'd be way easier to pull off. Right, because like all the teams are probably going to be out here, but like in January, I think it's difficult to get all the players in the same place with reasonable ping.
Just random people, random teams, have it just mixed because it'll be more fun too. Because you'll see fucking Kevster proper on a team. You'll see Dante and Astro and fucking I don't know Astro maybe on the back line for one team.
We should just make the world's stupidest teams with names. Like so, you like the
I just do a draft.
No, you just pick it from a hat. Drew a draft or pick it from a hat.
No, because then people get players they don't want to play with. I just do a draft instead. You do like six
Sure.
captains and they draft their own teams.
Sure. Yeah. Just anything to get like a random team. I think while it'd be cool to see Atlanta versus Boston Uprising, don't give a fuck because that's going to happen in the season at some point anyway. Like, and this is not supposed to be like scrims. This is supposed to be like fun as. What do you mean?
What's your solution of getting these teams together?
Yeah.
What do you mean? They're all in Korea. You don't have to get them together. They're already together.
Well, which teams are full together in Korea?
I don't know. Well, there's those two. What rosters have been fully announced? What rosters have been mostly announced or fully announced?
Exactly.
That's pretty much full Korean. Yeah, the fact that is full Korean, so that counts.
Like that.
Is Dallas full Korean? Pretty sure Dallas is still full Korean. That's four teams.
Dallas has a 5-man roster, right?
Yep, that's 4 teams so far. What else we got?
You just don't want them coming in there shitting on everybody, though. That's the thing.
No, I think it's fine if they come in and shit on people. Yeah, it's a show match. Yeah.
If it's a show match, sure.
It's
but
not a show match. It's not. There's 4 teams. How are you doing a show match with 4 teams? Are they playing free for all?
It's a show tournament. What? I don't know.
It's a tournament.
No, it's just a tournament. It's not even a show tournament. It's just a tournament. It's just a tournament.
Different things.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Different things here.
If we're talking semantics. Here's the thing, like I don't know, like I think it's a good. What is Johnny?
Johnny looking at production.
Johnny's looking for a new job as we're trying to work this out.
Johnny's
actually deep with you're deep with BTS, aren't you? Through the Dota days.
Dental Oh, it's got dental.
They got dental.
Holy shit. And vision. I'm almost blind in one eye. They can cover that shit. Unlimited paid time off. That's crazy. Anyway, we're all working for Beyond the Summit, everybody. This is the announcement.
I wonder if I could get in touch and be like, how much money do I have to pay you to organize an Overwatch League tournament?
But realistically, who would you be able to find to offset the cons as a sponsor? Because obviously Plat Chat's not going to cover it.
No, of course not. But like, dude, they had sponsors. They had like Asus sponsor this Valorant tournament they did with
Valorant. Yeah, they got 200,000 viewers because they have Carrick and Ludwig attached to it, right? But like that, you cannot get that kind of sell for
Smash Bros tournaments. They don't need the biggest esports possible. You can sell like there's actual sponsors.
There is a different Smash tournaments. They are like it is a very cool in-house thing where people come in and stuff like that, but you can't do that, especially if you start inviting big teams, right? Like
Scott, I got it. What we got to do? We got to get Flats and Super. There you go. There's our 2 streamers. They can be our Tarek.
Yeah, you can get and that's the thing. It's like you can get a cool thing going for Overwatch, right? But you got to be realistic of like we cannot be Valorant at this point. Like we're just not Valorant. We don't have the same money or the same interest in our game.
Yeah, so but I honestly think you're being a bit like a bit of a downer on it. Like, yeah, it's not going to be as big as Valorant. We don't have the same revenue as Valorant. We're not going to get 100K viewers like they did for their Valorant stream, but like, grassroots esports, like it was made out of passion, and like you don't have to turn a profit. Like you can do a smaller event, you can get smaller.
I agree,
income
and I think that's what we need to do. But I think trying to pull off a beyond the summer thing, like I think even then it would be, because you need to put a prize pool. I think it would be difficult to run even an online event, regardless of like having a local thing in some capacity, right? So I don't know. Like as I said, maybe it is Duma, but like the reason I think it is Duma and I think it is fair is because if it was doable and it was worth it, someone would have done it, right? And the thing is, we've only had dwindling people doing it, and that would, the reason these teams probably aren't running it again is because it didn't work. Like it wasn't worth it, or it didn't work, right? Like otherwise, people would be continuously running these events. We are at the most hype Overwatch has been in the last 5 years, yet we are in the darkest of days in terms of the esports, and that's the scary thing about Overwatch. And Blizzard needs to be the ones, I think, who are like, at least just offsetting it a little bit.
I would say yearly Mayhem have run the Mayhem Classic, but it was for tier 2, not for Overwatch League level. So I do wonder, like, on some level, they've been fine with, or they've been happy to continue running that third-party event, Mayhem Classic. I don't know. And again, because it's for tier 2, you'd have to assume that has even less interest than if they would to do an OWL level event instead, right? Hypothetically.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, there's actually a surprising amount of initiative in the tier 2 scene at Overwatch, because it was a big part of but we need
easier to access
more
for, I think,
right?
TOs.
We need it for Overwatch League too. we need to make tournaments for our actual tier 1 players.
I don't think it's because they don't want to do it for tier 1 in the Overwatch League. I think it's tier 2 is just easier for them to access. It might be a license thing,
100%,
or something else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's frustrating, because we want tournaments, the off season's too long, and then the GMs of the teams are like, the off season's too long, we want to do something, and so we're just here we are.
Like I said, I think it's initiative. I think it really comes down to initiative.
Yeah, and also like someone at Blizzard probably needs to be like, hey, we gotta bite the apple here. Like we have to invest, and we might take a bit of a hit, regardless if we sell appropriately, regardless if we find revenue streams for these tournaments or whatever. Like someone has to eat the cost. It probably should be us to keep things exciting and keep stuff alive, but that's very difficult. And Activision Blizzard being a publicly traded company looking for revenue, profits, all of that, like it's complicated. And yeah, but yeah, anyway, going all the way back, that was a really good interview that Yiska did with 4 GMs. So yeah, go check that out on GG Recon YouTube channel. That was really good. Anyway, kind of like tangentially related to the offseason, I guess. Just quickly addressing the quote-unquote Blizzard statement that was released earlier this morning, where Blizzard China, I think, posted on Weibo, and they were like, yo, we actually proposed to NetEase to postpone the license, the Chinese license expiring, which is due in like a week or something, I think. Yeah. And so, but NetEase, they were like, no, we don't want to postpone it. It ends in a week. And so Blizzard, in that way, they try to extend the amount of time that Chinese players can still play these games before they go down and stuff like that. But NetEase were like, no, we'd rather just move on. And so now Blizzard, they're looking for a new partner to team up and release these games. Blizzard were like, your progress will be saved, so your levels in Overwatch will still remain if the games come back. But it seems like this was like the last ditch effort from Blizzard to actually try and keep their games up in China, but it was unsuccessful. So yeah, it seems like we'll move forward with this with the new environment where China won't be able to play Blizzard games. So sad.
Am I the only one that thinks it's weird that Blizzard made a statement of, they were like, hey, we went up to them and we were like, please, bro, just a little bit longer, bro, and then they were like, nah, so now it's just like GG. Like is that just me? Like,
no, it's not weird, because the Blizzard are trying to, like, I don't know, recoup some favor there in terms of like make it a better outcome for the players, which I understand.
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like they're kind of throwing NetEase under the bus, under the thing. Like, obviously, we don't have no idea what's going on behind the scenes with like this kind of stuff. But I don't know. It just seems like
This looks like a very bad divorce.
This looks like
a
I would
really
have been shocked
nasty
if
divorce.
NetEase was just like, yeah, sure, why not? Because it's like it sounded like NetEase wanted to continue, they just couldn't come to an agreement. So something obviously has broken down. So
I think both sides have been unhappy about one thing. I don't know how much like what's been said publicly and what's been said privately. So I'm not going to go into detail there. But yeah, I don't think it's as one side as maybe people make it out to be. But
yeah, I don't think there's one good guy and one bad guy in this situation, right?
It sounds like they're both playing hardball.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we won't fucking resign. No, we won't extend. Actually, we're not going to do this. Oh, and then they're just waiting for the other party to kind of make a move and then go from there. Like, that seems like the only logical reason why they put out a statement. It's like, look, we tried.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, it was interesting, right? Because when the initial statement was released, there was someone on the NetEase side, I believe, who posted and was like, there were like shocking terms demanded by Blizzard or something that like we were completely caught off guard with, and like we could not possibly like agree to this. So if Blizzard then came back to the table and were like, hey, can we extend for 6 months? Like, it sounded like NetEase wanted to like renew the deal. They were interested in, you know, continuing this partnership, but the demands were just crazy. So if Blizzard then comes back to the table, surely they had moved on from that premise. Surely they had moved on without what, you know, broke up negotiations in the first place, you would think. But the fact that NetEase were just like, no, so we're good. It definitely seems like there was a lot of this emotion in going into this.
Postponing thing isn't like, oh, let's extend, as far as I can aware anyway. It's not like they're making a new deal or extending their current deal. This is just like, hey, our deal still ends in January, but just keep the servers online for another 6 months, NetEase, please. And they're like, why would we do that?
Yeah.
Is actually what it is. So there's
I mean, look, I mean, NetEase is providing a service here for Blizzard. So I am so far removed from these negotiations that like I have no fucking idea how this works. But NetEase surely would make money from postponing.
That's not how I read it. I think how I read it was Blizzard would just ask NetEase, like, you know, just keep it online for another 6 months.
But why would NetEase ever do that? Yeah, there's no way NetEase would ever do that. There's no way there would have to be money in it for them. If like maybe, oh, let's go extend for another 6 months with our previous contract, and that would be like the agreed upon thing. Because there's no way NetEase would just keep the servers on out of good faith.
Well, that's why I thought they rejected, because otherwise then NetEase would be able to at least make something out of it, and it would benefit them for 6 months as well. So the only reason they would reject it would be out of spite, because they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot if they're actually going to get something out of it.
I mean, NetEase is in an incredibly strong position here now, because Blizzard, I mean, they have people who can calculate like how much revenue they will be missing from, you know, this year, for example, from this license expiring. How much revenue are we losing from China not being able to play our games? And so someone can make that calculation, and then NetEase are like, well, we'll make a counter offer based on our internal projections. It's like, this is how much we think we deserve in payment for continuing the services based on the revenue that you'll be missing. So NetEase is actually in a very strong position here, because if NetEase is not the answer, then Blizzard will have to find a different partner and then file for these games to be approved by the Chinese government again. So NetEase, it feels like they're just kind of like, you know, like we don't give a fuck mode, just like either pay us like what we think we deserve so we can keep it running, because you'll lose revenue, or like Blizzard
have to find a new partner anyway. Like, that doesn't change. They would just allow themselves.
If you postpone it, you can postpone negotiations too, right? Just like, hey,
it'll still end in 6 months and keep the games running. It'll still end in 6 months, and they'll have to still go to another partner. So Blizzard trying to buy time.
The postponement gives you more time to negotiate.
Just postpone indefinitely.
Yeah. Because like, who was I talking to? That like, we, as I said, it's important to like state that we actually don't know how this works. Like, this is so far removed from us.
Okay?
We have no fucking idea. So we are just
Reddit
throwing.
Comments.
Yeah. We are throwing shit. We are literally Reddit right now talking about these kind of things. But the thing that I would like that I remember hearing is like, I don't think it would be as simple for like just for another company to just take over the licensing of Overwatch, right? It's not like about just coming to a deal. There is a process that would go through. If it's not with NetEase, there would have to be like some form of like it's kind of like, you know how it took Valorant a very long time to get approved in China? Like, would Blizzard need to go through that process again with Overwatch, or would they just be able to be like, hey, someone NetEase had Overwatch, like, can we just pick up that contract? Like, I don't think that's how it works. So I think
they'll have to do a new one.
Yeah, which will take time, right? So if this NetEase shit falls through, like, and the servers actually do go down, it might take a lot longer to get back up than just like waiting for a deal.
I mean, it will go through.
It kind of also depends it kind of also depends on the amount of revenue percentage-wise that Blizzard that they got from like running the Blizzard titles, excluding Diablo Immortal, because that is developed by NetEase in partnership with Blizzard. It's like the only game that's not in this deal is Diablo Immortal, because they did it together. Because it really does depend, because they could play like super hardball if it's only a slight percentage of their revenue. And I'm looking now, and their partnerships included obviously Blizzard, but it also includes Marvel Comics. So all of the kind of Spider-Man, Captain America, Guardians of the Galaxy, that kind of bullshit.
What?
Yeah. And also, Lord of all things, by the way, Lord of the Rings.
What are you talking about?
NetEase, what they
NetEase is a big company.
They publish in China. And what I'm saying is, because they could play even harder ball here, and just make Blizzard kind of sweat a little bit if Blizzard titles aren't a majority stake in the actual company's revenue. Because they've got a lot of fucking titles under their belt. I'm looking at the list now. It's actually a little bit ridiculous. Not sure how big some of these are in China, but they're it feels like Blizzard games at this point, or like, you know, Hearthstone, StarCraft, Heroes of the Storm, Warcraft, and Overwatch. They don't seem to make up a large portion of NetEase revenue and like where they are, how they're making money. So like, it does feel like NetEase is still in a better situation.
Oh yeah, I think so.
So what I was trying to say earlier is that like, what is clear is that Blizzard and NetEase are breaking up. There's no world that I can see that it's pretty damn sure, especially with the fact that they just rejected this proposal, that NetEase and Blizzard will continue working with each other. That much is clear. So this entire like postponement thing isn't like to buy them more time to try and figure out a new deal. There's no new deal they're going to figure out with each other. They're done with each other for sure. 100%.
No,
it's
that's
allow
Blizzard.
Hang on. Hold up. So the 6-month postponement is to allow Blizzard that extra time to find a new partner.
And our point is like, why would NetEase ever do that? That's a Blizzard problem. NetEase
which is why what I'm saying, which is why NetEase rejected it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm sort of saying, is that it was a Hail Mary by Blizzard of like, we wanted to work together. And the only reason, if they had agreed to a 6-month extension, that would have, I agree, pointed in the direction more that they might come to an agreement, right? Like in the future.
I sort of believe that.
But then like, why would they? Okay, then if in that situation, yeah, it's like, so if you like, and then that explains why like the deal went through, right? Like it didn't go through because like it is not in NetEase's best interest. As Jack just said, NetEase doesn't need Blizzard in the same way that Blizzard says it doesn't need NetEase and the Chinese revenue. NetEase probably doesn't need the Blizzard revenue of the servers. So, and the thing that I don't think we've talked about so far related to this is like, there has been a lot of stuff going on like on the surface that you've heard about, like the Chinese and the US user data issue. And like, for all we know, that could be a big part of it as well, because like there's a lot of data there that's coming in from this Blizzard deal. For all we know, that is one of the reasons that these deals aren't going through, because the landscape have changed in terms of almost government regulation of like, can Blizzard just, you know, exist in China? Does China want, you know, Blizzard to have all this user data and all that kind of stuff? Like, there's so many things that are just like so far over our head that it's like, but at the end of the day, the thing that actually affects us is that the servers are going to go down. And once they go down, it's like one of those things, even if they come back up in a year, you will never get back to where you were, at least not for a very long time, without some form of pump. Like people just won't come back to Blizzard games. And that's the worrying thing, is that like it'll be interesting to see if and when it comes back in China.
You're seeing the negative feedback from the Chinese player base at the moment. They really obviously justifiably pretty pissed about the whole situation. It doesn't help for Blizzard or Overwatch that Valorant just got approved as well. So the timing is impeccable. It literally could not be more perfect for Wright to swoop in and take.
Have they announced when that'll be available? When Valorant will be available? We know it's got.
Is it not already available?
I don't think it's available right now in China. I could be wrong about that, but I remember hearing that it got approved, but I haven't heard of a rollout date.
Yeah, it says approaching. I don't know. I don't think there's an official date, but it's definitely getting there.
I assumed it was already out. Is it not?
I don't know. There's a Chinese team playing, I think, in the Brazilian two Chinese teams playing in the Brazilian Valorant tournament.
But I think I don't know how they've been doing it. I think they just VPN. Like I think they just because like they've been Chinese teams playing for like the last couple of years. Like straight up, like they've that's how it has existed for them. Yeah, dude,
China VPNs. It's just that's different. It's not like connecting to Sweden to watch the Swedish news in America. It's that goes different.
It's literally a criminal offense, I'm pretty sure, to fucking use a VPN, which is like ridiculous shit. Like, wow.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you want to risk that to play Overwatch ranked?
Yeah.
Probably
not. Anyway, not good. Not good.
Not good.
Not good. That is
this has been a doomer podcast so far. We're in the hole right now.
Although I guess it is good news, sadly.
Mid off season, yeah.
To cap it off, though, like Scott said, we don't fucking know. Yeah. And I would be very wary of calling this thing a done deal set in stone. I know, Avril, like I've spoke about before, like you're a little bit more in touch with like the Chinese side of things than we are, being able to kind of speak and understand Mandarin. So it's like a little bit different. But I would still say, even with Scott's point about the user data and the government kind of maybe getting involved and like maybe having some say there as well, like all of this shit is just unbelievably above our heads. It's really, it's almost really useless to kind of speculate what is going to happen because, dude, come on. Like,
I mean, we know what's going to happen.
Two multi-billion-dollar companies, what they
we know what's going to happen. Blizzard and NetEase, they're breaking apart. And Blizzard has to find a new partner. That's literally what is happening. There's no like speculation.
But like we're saying, but what happens after that? That's our question.
What happens? Right. Yeah, well, no one fucking knows. Apart from maybe one or two motherfuckers at Blizzard that are like drafting options right now.
The reason why I'm not like as like cut in stone as your ever is like this is over, this is done, whatever. It's like because when these games eventually go offline, there is, I'm leaving out the like 2% opportunity that Blizzard will some kind of budge and be like, well, we were trying to play hardball in negotiations, it didn't work out, and we need to find this revenue somehow, and maybe they'll ease up and the negotiation. So I know that's a very slim possibility, but that is why I struggle in many different discussions. I struggle to make these arguments that are just like set in stone, it's a done deal, never happening. I can't make those arguments. I said this earlier,
but there are terms on the NetEase side as well that Blizzard do not want. So I mentioned this is not a one-sided.
What deals? What is this?
I want to call you out on this. What terms? How do you know the terms of the NetEase deal? Like, there's no way you know the terms of the NetEase deal that ended up like. I mean, if you do,
turn the stream off. We'll talk about it. Turn the stream off. Like, we'll talk about it. I don't know.
We'll discuss after the podcast then, because there's absolutely
listen. Hold up. This is where you get into territory. Is like, what is available to say publicly and privately.
The juice. Avril's got the juice.
I feel like I'm about to get a ZP take coming in here.
Dude,
ZP told Avril. ZP told Avril about this one thing that happened.
Actually, you're right. It was ZP told me. I'm talking shit. Ignore what I just said. You're completely right. Yeah.
All right. What? Yeah. Do you want to go on? Or
no, I don't, because there's no winning from this position, so I'll leave it.
Yeah. Anyway, it's complicated. We're just Redditors with cameras on a podcast, so don't listen to us. Don't listen to us. Shit. Anyway, great. It might not be the low point of the off season. Who knows? We don't even know when the off season
maybe
ends.
It gets worse.
Maybe the low point is when China can't play Overwatch anymore. Who knows? Anyway, let's just move on. So Avril, actually, you brought up this topic in the pre-show, so why not do it? We're having a great time here. The regions being separated now. If this goes through and the Chinese franchises cannot play from China, well, they'd probably, assumingly, have to play from South Korea instead.
Yep.
And then some people have, the good old days were in Burbank, so much fun, great content, all the players were vibing with each other. Like, where do you guys stand? All right, this is the pure like ESPN hot take machine, just like take shows. Should the regions still be separated, or should we just say fuck it and just send them all to Los Angeles and play from there? And it's good times, nostalgia vibes.
Well, it's not even about like what should happen, it's what can happen. I don't think it's logistically really. I won't say.
It's
I won't
never
use the word
happening,
possible.
but that's besides the conversation.
but that's the reason.
Talk about
That's the
why
reason
it
it
can't
won't
happen, right?
The reason why it can't happen is because logistically there's major costs involved. Because I think like most fans when they talk about it, it's like, oh yeah, just snap your fingers, it'll just magically happen. It's like, well, who's paying for that cost? We don't have a Blizzard Arena anymore. There's no centralized venue. And the teams would have to also fund their own logistics of getting back over towards LA or wherever in the United States, funding their own team house again. Even if they don't get big ass mansions like in season 1, they still got to pay for something. Whereas these teams already have some level of infrastructure in their home regions. And I actually don't know 100% if, like, for example, we'll just talk about Spark for now because it seems like they will be going full Chinese, or at least mostly Chinese. They have their own facility in Hangzhou, obviously in that Bilibili facility that they've done content around. There is a world where they might still be able to play out of that and play on a Korean client. I have no idea. I'm speculating there. So they might not have to actually go to Korea, but most likely those teams might actually have to look at going to Korea. But if you're talking about Seoul Dynasty and Seoul Infernal, they have literal facilities and infrastructure in Seoul. It would be extremely cost prohibitive for them to then go to LA where they don't have that kind of stuff anymore. It's just ridiculously expensive. And you also have to talk about visas as well. You now have to get visas for your players. That's cost. That's time cost as well. There's just so many barriers in the way to bringing everyone together again. And on top of the fact that there's the elephant in the room, there's no fucking venue. There's no Blizzard Arena. Who's paying for that? That's a ridiculous cost in and of itself.
I feel like you just hit a home run. There it is.
Yeah, and that's a great summary of like why, like, and it's like people. I think this is the issue of the Overwatch League functioning the way it did from 2018 to now. It's like people are like, well, why don't we just go back in time to 2018? And it's like, well, we didn't grow like a normal esport where you start low and then you go high. We started high and we've been going down ever since. We can't just go back to 2018 because in 2018. The Overwatch League teams and the Overwatch League were losing money like hand over fist. Well, at least they were spending money hand over fist. It was offset by the fact that we had we had a Disney deal, we had a Coke deal, we had Twitch paying millions for the rights to Overwatch League, right? Those things aren't coming back anytime soon, if ever, right? So it's like, how do we get those costs to a point where the league is like sustainable and we can get back 20 teams? Like you don't. What we just gonna why would T1, aka Seoul Infernal, ever want to come back to Los Angeles to compete? Like, how does that make sense for them as an organization to want to do that and have that cost? Like, if the Overwatch League was like, hey, you guys want to come back? They'd probably be like, no. And that's probably where it ends. As much as it would be better for competition overall, it's kind of the grave we've digging for.
They literally just rebranded as Seoul.
Yeah, like they're not
coming back.
Yeah, I think trying to have the idea that we just get all the teams in one place again is unrealistic. And that's why I'm going to beat the same drum I beat every single week. We need to divide the regions so it makes sense for all of these teams to function within their own region. And then we have multiple international events. There is a reason that every other esport functions like this is because it is the most sustainable for all teams. And it's the most sustainable way to have a global league.
Yep. It's not a global league if all the teams are in one area, just all in LA. Just call it the North American Overwatch League. That's not an actual global league anymore if everyone's in North America. You have to talk about the fans as well. You have to talk about activations in your home region. You got 2 Seoul teams now. Doesn't make sense for them to be LA. How are they engaging with their home audience and their home crowd and the, their user-based demographic, whatever you want to call it, when they're not even in their home region? Like that, none of that even makes sense for them. The entire idea was for everyone to go back to their home region so they can actually work on the localization. So bring it all back to LA is completely opposite of what the Overwatch League was trying to achieve, and to be an actual global league.
I would say a caveat to that though is that they do need to even the teams out somehow between the two regions because currently APAC just has way too few teams. Like,
not great.
And they don't even have good players anymore. Like they lost all of their best players, right? Like
it's
Profit's back, baby.
It's scary to think that there's like two good teams in APAC, and there's kind of always been that way. Like Jesus Christ, man! Like, was it worth me getting up at like, or not getting up, staying awake until 6 a.m. in the morning, casting fucking APAC matches here from LA to only watch Seoul Dynasty just shit on and Dragons shit on every single team in that region? Like, dude,
Charge won a title.
Yeah, sure, okay. They're fucking the miracle run from fucking Charge, but like that, sure, that's a little level of excitement, like man. But having two dominant teams in a region, and it happens in other esports. To be fair, that does happen. But when you compare the two regions that we have right now, like, dude, the NA is just so much more competitive and like almost, I will say top to bottom, almost. Not all the time. I'm going to challenge maybe that. This year will be a little bit more competitive, but like I don't think there's any way you can say the APAC region is like anywhere near as exciting because two teams just shit on the rest.
No. That's not true at all. APAC last year, you can literally look at the match results to confirm they were very even games across the board. All 7 teams were taking games off each other, and there was even Seoul Dynasty, who were mostly the best team overall in APAC, were not immune to losing. They could go down. The Valiant took them to map 5s. I mean, this regularly happened. Even the worst team in APAC regularly took everyone else to map 5s and still honestly threaten wins every week. When you look at NA, we have to define what competitiveness means. Because I'm not just talking about like, here's some top teams shitting on other people. You have an NA, you have maybe the bottom 5, maybe bottom 4 if you want to be charitable, just completely free low games. I don't think in APAC there was ever free low games. Yeah, Guangzhou Charge really sucked for a while, but they even had an incredible comeback in the second half of the season. So when I say 7 teams were competitive, Valiant and Charge, who were bottom tier, were actually still competitive. In NA, you had a number of teams that don't bother watching the games. You already know the result. There's no point watching any of those games. Complete waste of time. Every region, both regions have like a top echelon of teams that dominate. That's not like a APAC thing.
I will say the biggest thing I dislike about the APAC region is the fact that there are so few teams. Like, I don't get excited because it's a round robin every stage. I don't get excited about like Hangzhou versus Guangzhou anymore, because like you see that matchup like once every month when the season is happening, right? So whereas in the North American region, like how many times do you get Dallas versus San Francisco in the regular season? It only happens so few often, right? So to Jack's point, like if you really filled out this APAC region somehow, I don't think you're going to sell more franchises, so that's not a point. But like, I guess tier 2 teams like get 3 contenders teams involved that maybe qualify, and then you have 10 teams in the region, something like that. Then suddenly like you're cooking, because those teams are incentivized to win as well, whereas some other teams in the region don't really give a fuck about winning. So you want to get teams that are like involved in the region and actually care about winning, so it's competitive, but also that like matches aren't happening like all the fucking time either. So I think you're right, Jack.
Definitely fair point, Avril. Actually, obviously looking at the results now, I will say my take was definitely inspired and heavily biased from when I casted APAC back in 2021, because those games are just, dude, they were fucking mind melting. Like, they were fucking terrible. So honestly, fair. Bit hard to watch APAC in the North American region, I will be honest, and it's not exactly something that you pay attention to like a ton when you're like casting NA, until like obviously the regions come around. You do end up watching the games, but it's not like you're casting it like living the whole. Fair point actually. Yeah, I'm completely wrong on that fact. Yeah. Go on.
For me, the thing that I'm worried about going into this year, like regardless of like looking at the show a long term of where we should be in the short term, I'm worried APAC is gonna just be dead. Like there's like the quality of gameplay in that region is going to be incredibly low compared to North America. Yeah, they can probably fill out their rosters with some good contenders talent, but all other than Profit, most of the best talent out of the APAC region came to North America, because that's where the money was at. That's where people were throwing money around. Like, what we haven't even heard what the Los Angeles Valiant is doing. There's not even rumors. For all we know, they might not even exist. Like there were.
Just go budget again.
Yeah, they'll probably just go budget again and sign a bunch of players who just like are happy to just show up and get paid like minimum, right? And then so Guangzhou sounds like they have an okay roster. Hangzhou looks like they're going Chinese. Shanghai, what is Moon gonna put together? Then we have Seoul and Solar fucking hell. Then we have Dynasty and Infernal who are like they have good starting pieces, but how do you round out both of those rosters when usually a lot of the best supporting cast have already made their way to North America? So I think you're going to get a lot of hodgepodge. Yeah, and it's just going to be rookies. And it's like, it could be exciting for that manner, but I think it's going to be even less incentive to watch APAC than we've seen over the last few years for the Western audience.
Here's a question for you. Let's say that the quality of gameplay is worse this upcoming year than it was last year. Let's just like, okay, fair enough. All the great players, they went to the North American region. The APAC region, it's not going to be a stack. It's going to be a lot of rookies, a lot of names we haven't seen in the Overwatch League before. It's going to be, some middling players in there, but they're not going to like challenge the San Francisco Shocks of the world. They're not going to challenge Boston Uprising, whatever. Do you still think, theoretically, if the Chinese franchises went to Seoul and you had Seoul Dynasty and Seoul Infernal, do you still think the opportunity for all those teams to operate out of the same space, do live matches against each other, and maybe like some kind of content, third-party content surrounding, like the Korean Overwatch League channel is actually really good. They actually make some banger content.
Yeah.
Do you still think it'd be like a better product than last year? Do you?
I'm not looking at this from the Asian audience and the Asian market and the product that they're going to make. I'm talking about it from a Western perspective of like, how many viewers were we getting on the APAC Western broadcasts? Like this most recent
time
year?
Zones matter as well, because when you consider the majority of English viewers are North American, the time zone is not friendly for those viewers. So I think from a viewership perspective, it makes sense that it would have less, because the only English...
But I'm saying it's going to get so much worse, right? Because like all of a sudden, it's not just the time zones and that kind of stuff. It would just be the inferior region. Because I think last year, like I don't think APAC has ever been an inferior region, like ever, right? Like maybe this year, but even then, like they had a bunch of really good teams. As much as the APAC teams didn't perform internationally very well, I think they had great players and they had great teams, and there was reason I wanted to watch the Seoul games. I wanted to watch the Shanghai games, right? Like, even Philly when they were on tears, right? Like it was exciting to watch those teams. I'm worried there's not going to be that incentive for the audience, Western audience now, and that's going to be a big problem of we're a global league where a large Western audience don't care about the APAC region.
So that's, what I think is interesting. I lost a little bit of that because I had to mess around with the settings. We dropped some frames for a second there, but it would be like, well, is there an opportunity to sort of build on like the Apex kind of tournament, like pre-out, where it's like we have all the teams in the same place and you have live matches and they're playing on stage, they're doing a walkout, stuff like that. Will that actually translate to a more exciting fan experience with, seeing players in person and these players making names for themselves? I'm not saying that stage one will be like the pinnacle of Overwatch League, but over time, as you get accustomed to these players, you'll figure out, well, who are the great players on Hangzhou or Guangzhou, for example? Like,
it's about...
And there's content around those players, then maybe there's a recipe for success therein if it turns out that all these franchises move to Korea because of the expiring license agreement with the NetEase.
So I see what you're saying, Scott, because it's like, if I understand correctly, because APAC's losing a lot of veteran talent. So obviously, when you have fandom attached to certain veteran talent, that's going to hurt incentives or reasons for people wanting to watch. But it's another year where I think, it's going to have to, the league's going to have to stand off the shoulders of a lot of rookie talent. And thankfully, in 2022, we had insane rookie talent and that really paid off. We'll see if that happens again for the 2023 season. The fact that they lowered the age from 18 to 17 allows more rookies to come in. I, still wonder if that was a strategic move to sort of bolster things in the region a little bit now, because we'll a lot of veteran talent is left on the floor, leaving or whatever. So rookies do have to take their place. That definitely opens the door for these Seoul teams and whoever else to sort of bolster their rosters. And I think even when you look at teams like the Valiant, whether they go Chinese or not, or maybe they go back to Korean, they could definitely still field a 6-man Korean roster on minimum salary that might be fairly competitive through rookies alone. So we'll see what happens. I think the level of rookies coming through is still fairly reasonable. So yeah, I mean, NA is probably the region with more veteran talent. APAC is just going to be full of more rookies.
What seems quite ideal for the APAC region with the whole China thing happening is if they do end up all moving to Korea, they'll definitely obviously move to Seoul if that's the case. You could potentially leverage the Contenders Korea setup for LAN matches instead of
that's what I was hinting
online.
at. I think that'd be sick.
Yeah, leveraging that would be fucking crazy. Like, it's not the biggest venue in the world. It's like a small cinema, but like filling that out or leave half filling it for Overwatch League matches would be incredible. I think that would be a amazing step in the right direction. And dude, imagine like, it would be crazy because it's like, wow, NA is like the kind of dominant region in that regard. Like, they're a lot more teams. You'd say like Shock and like Dallas, especially last year, just fucking crazy. But then it's like, well, you know, you're playing online. But then you look at APAC, you're like, hey, they're playing on fucking LAN. That's fucking like, that would also give another incentive for people to kind of watch too, not only live but like actually online, to see them compete on LAN, because it's very different from seeing like webcams to like player cams and shit to a camera in the stadium or in the arena, just like fucking flying around and all the little cameras on the casters with the background, and you can see all the players and shit, like little walkouts and stuff like that too. I think that would be the best thing for them to leverage going into next year with the kind of thing going down, to be honest.
Yeah, especially because it would make sense for the Chinese teams to want to exist in the same place as well, because it makes sense for them to move to South Korea. Like in the past, you can understand why Shanghai, Guangzhou, Hangzhou, they wanted to stay in China because that's where their audience is. That's where they can leverage it better. But Overwatch doesn't exist in your country, then it actually makes more sense for you to move to South Korea and try and leverage it better from there. So I hope so. Like, and that's the thing, is like, I really hope that they can start doing that, because it would give me as you said, it's kind of like Apex. And then if you go that one step further, as you said, Johnny, and you can leverage Contenders teams in there and like have, you know, like, because Contenders Korea exists in the same space, you could have those things sort of overlap from time to time. I think that'd be a really interesting opportunity for them as well. And I think you would get a lot more eyes on that just for those things.
Yeah.
I'll address one other thing as well, because there's always this kind of narrative floating around in the public fan space of like, oh yeah, there's just no scrim partners in APAC. And I know where that started from. It started last year, given the fact that we were on an Overwatch 2 beta build, and Contenders was not on that build until the game was basically was it the game released, or the game was in like a public beta 1 or whatever, something like that. I think it was beta 1 and beta 2
stages or so. I think Contenders teams don't get access.
Was Contenders finally got it. So where this comes from is like, yes, at the start of the 2022 season last year, for the first 2 stages roughly, the level of scrim diversity was quite low in the Eastern Division because there's only 7 teams that had to play against each other. But as soon as Contenders opened up, then the level of diversity for scrim partners opens as well. But the other issue that I think happened last year was that the patches were different, because I believe Contenders were on the Jungle Queen patch first before the Overwatch League teams. So because they weren't aligned on patches, then once that sort of happened and the patch was misaligned, the Overwatch League teams couldn't scrim the Contenders teams anymore as well. So there was a bit of tomfoolery there in terms of organizing and coordinating the patch lineups there between the two circuits. So that was an issue. But going into this year, that should all be alleviated, because the game's released, everyone's already playing the game, and as long as the patch cycles aren't completely messed up and they're on different pages, then everyone just scrims each other, and the scrimming pool is very wide. It's like the same as what we saw in 2021, where having access to Contenders Korea, Contenders China at the time, Contenders China is going to be gone now, unfortunately, but still having Contenders Korea is huge. That's a major scrim pool for the Overwatch League team. So this entire narrative, like, oh yeah, well, APAC's got no one to scrim, it's like, that's bullshit. That was only the case last year because of the Overwatch 2 rollout and the beta situation. This year, it'll be the same as 2021, where everyone just plays each other, and Contenders Korea traditionally has been super strong to scrim against. People are like, oh yeah, well, you know, like, NA's got all these good players and all these good teams. Like, well, where did those players come from? Where did Proper come from? These guys were in Contenders Korea. And teams like O2 Blast are still stacked. And even the next best teams are still very strong scrim partners. So, like, I think it's just a weird narrative that people still hold on to based on a whole beta rollout thing.
Yeah, it's bound to be better this year with Overwatch 2 finally released. I'm gonna be honest, guys. This whole conversation about shipping the teams to Korea, it's really just regenerated my Hopium tank that's below my desk right now. And I'm just like,
good.
I'd like to see this. Please make this happen. But, you know, who's going to eat the cost of the contenders venue? Who? That is the question.
They already fucking eat the cost.
So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, Jaws, I know you're a big Korean esports fan, so, you know,
I'm an enthusiast.
would that make you satisfied? Would that make you happy?
I think it would make everybody happy, not just me. Just having something on a LAN environment, yeah, it's pretty fucking sick. They already rent out the venue, or like, I don't know, they don't own it, but they already rent out the venue for contenders. Imagine having a fucking contenders on LAN, dude. Like, holy shit, imagine a world.
Yeah.
Oh wait, we do have a world. Korea still does it. OWL GM. Like, they're always going to want to leverage that shit, I would imagine. Even if, oh, dude, I don't fucking know. But like, they should do that shit. If they don't, then I'll be very disappointed, and I'll be like, how has that gone through at all? But I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of conflict there. It's hard to I'm going to be very honest with you. Like I mentioned before with the whole like NetEase thing, it's so fucking difficult to tell. Like, people in general, I think that we have a lot of inside information. And while we do, in some regard, when it's like higher level stuff, including where are we going to play on venue? You know, how many lands we have in this year? Like, do all this kind of shit. We don't fucking know. That shit does change repeatedly during off season, and like it's way above our like pay grade, and like even just kind of talking to the people on the inside, it's we just don't know shit. And like ideally, yeah, it's played on LAN, and I'm kind of hopeful. And Johnny, I want your Hopium tanks to be full, okay? I want everybody's Hopium tanks to be full, okay? Because if they're not and they're fucking empty, we're on the espresso depresso, you know? You don't want to be sipping that shit. That's very sad, and it will make your life a fucking misery. And if you're worried and just concerned every day your fucking life, then you're gonna have a bad fucking time. Like, as much you don't want to live fully in the moment, but then you also don't want to live fully in the like 3 or 4 years in the future, because you're just going to get fucked either way. You want to find a happy medium, because if you don't, good fucking luck. You're not going to survive too long in this weird, ever-changing fucking landscape of esports. It's shit sucks sometimes, but you got to at least have a little bit of hope there.
The motivational speech.
By the way, the audience
you put some nice cinematic music in the background there. That's pretty much a YouTube video. That's one of those motivational videos.
Someone make a motivational Jack speech right there.
I mean, here's some Hopium for you. I'll give some Hopium. The audience turnout for not only the contenders games, but for like any sort of Overwatch League related thing is pretty huge in that WDG arena. Like when they do, back then it was still Fusion, like Fusion versus Seoul related stuff, they basically have to lottery out the tickets, because like there's a lot of people wanting them. There's a huge demand for it. So yeah, they fill out that cinema every single time. It's an Overwatch League thing.
I think that can be said for all over. Like, there is demand for Overwatch League LAN events, tournaments, and all this cool shit. It's just not really happening right now. And I think I think that's maybe where a lot of our frustrations lie, because we just came from the grand finals where like viewership was up, Overwatch 2 just come out, we were on the high train, and now it just kind of feels like with this long off season, and it just feels like we've just, you know, that what's that meme where the guy like throws L's at the camera? Like, that's what it feels like that we've just taken this off season. So I think it'll be fine regardless. You know, the show will go on and it'll exist, but I think we all want it to grow and turn into something that is like sustainable and long term. And it just feels like we're not really there, like, or in the right direction.
I mean, I have no insight whatsoever, just zero. But you know, after the playoffs was such a successful event, and viewership was legitimately fucking amazing for the playoffs.
And the turnout.
And the turnout was okay, all right? It was not like League of Legends, Counter-Strike. Like,
no, we're not Wales, right?
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, it was a good turnout. But the point being, like, there's no way, like, people on the dev team, you know, working on Overwatch or, like, you know, Overwatch League, whatever, just don't look at that and go, like, there's something here. We should try to make the most of this. So they're working on something. We don't know when the new season starts. We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know what the Apex region is going to look like. Takes shit to figure out. But the hopium tank below my desk. It's filled me with hope that someone must have paid attention and been like, we should do more of this stuff. This is cool. People like this. Let's do more skins and stuff. Drops. Anyway, let's move on. While we're on the topic of the APAC region, I guess we'll head over to discuss the fact that Profit resigns.
Oh, hopium.
With the Seoul Dynasty. Poggers.
Is your hopium?
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
Wow, that was a long topic. I need to change the bar. I'm a professional host. Don't worry. Profit resigns with the Seoul Dynasty. I guess, I don't know. To me, it was kind of like expected and unexpected at the same time. Like, I was low-key expecting the LA Gladiators to just be like, we signed Profit to our sick team. But instead, Seoul Dynasty comes out and they've re-signed Profit, the GOAT. So what do we think? Was this a good move from Profit to re-sign to the Seoul Dynasty with everything that's uncertain about the APAC region? Or do we think that maybe he should have, like the people going to Boston Uprising, for example, you know, Houston Outlaws, whatever, do we think that Profit should have tried to move to a team in the NA region for a chance at the title
Well, he
instead?
did, didn't he? He did try to move to a team in NA, but
Well, he said that he got offers, but that he took a lower offer from Seoul instead, because he wanted to play for Seoul.
That's what it's not only the Seoul Dynasty, but I think he wants to physically be in Seoul, Korea.
Yeah,
that
that's
is
a good thing.
Always going to be a draw card for the players. That's one of the reasons. I think for him, like going through the stream notes, which were translated, so you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. It seems like, I don't know, there are some heavy hints towards this maybe being Profit's final year in the league. He's talking about like delaying his military service. He's like, yeah, I could probably delay it for one more year, so I'll play for the league for another year. So it sounds like he'll be going to military service in 2024 if what is being translated and what he's saying is anywhere, you know, indicative of his actual motivations. But he's also saying in terms of his motivations as well, one line, a couple of lines that stood out to me. My goal is to have fun with great players for 1 year. I joined Seoul to have fun. I don't want to be stressed. That's well and good, but it's also concerning on another level as well, because as soon as players use that kind of language, Scott can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you say like, my goal is just to have fun for like a year, I just want to join, I just want to play for fun, I don't want to be stressed. That says to me implicitly, I'm not saying this is 100% what it is, but it sounds like he wants to fuck around. Am I maybe
I
speculating?
Agree.
Scott,
and that's what he's saying. He's like, I can push my military service until next year, right? Like, I think he's realistic with his like. I don't know how old Profit is. Is he what, like 24? I don't know when he came to league, but like, I think it's important to remember, like, he has been around forever. Like, he is the exception to the
23.
rule that we say of like, he's been around for like 7 years and he still has the motivation. And realistically, you know, this happened to me. Super said the same thing when he retired. It's like, Super was like, I could have kept playing. Like, I had the contract, he had the deal. He's like, once you lose that motivation and that drive to like want to win, to want to be the best, it is like your career is never going to get better because you're going to stop improving because you're not putting in that time. You're not putting in that motivation, that grind, that drive for anything. Profit will be fine, regardless of anything. He's still going to be able to play at this level. But I agree with Avril that I think if you look at this rhetoric, it seems like he's on his way out.
It sounds like a one last ride kind of narrative, right? Like he's paying like, yeah, I'm just gonna go for one last ride here, guys. Have some fun, not stress out, go to the military next year. Is what it reads like.
Okay, quick counterpoint here. Playing devil's advocate, real quick, all right? I mean, there has been cases in the past, right, where they've gotten permission to like delay it even further because there's a special exception because, you know, Profit, for example, you know, he's a very successful Overwatch player. Maybe with that stature, he can delay it further. Like, yes, I know Void just joined the military, and maybe that is because Void felt that that was time or whatever. But as we read further down the notes, Profit also says, playing comp, I thought it was really bad. If I wasn't a pro, I wouldn't be playing this game. It's that bad. I feel like to bring the lower tiers up to decrease the match time, you need to have a duo. It's a huge problem. This guy is in the same off-season hell that we are in. So I'm not surprised that Profit's just like kind of checked out, because he's clearly not, you know, playing comp because he loves playing comp. He wants to compete. He wants to play in the Overwatch League. He wants to win titles. And so him just fucking around on stream, he's not having any events going for himself. Yeah, he re-signed to Seoul. And yes, it seems like he will be joining military service next year. This will be his last year. It seems so. But I wouldn't blame him for being mentally checked out if he just feels like this game is not that great and I'm just like, I don't have anything going for myself in the offseason here now. So I don't blame him. There's many other players that also seem mentally checked out simply because there are no offseason events and no one seems to enjoy the matchmaking system. So
that's a red flag though, isn't it? It's like it's really bad when obviously having no off-season events is not ideal. That we've survived on that before, but it's worse when they also don't actually even want to really play the game. Like they're like, I don't even want to bother playing ranked. I definitely don't want to stream ranked. Talked a little bit earlier about like why pros are not making content and not streaming. They barely even want to play the game is part of that reason. And Prophet saying stuff like if it wasn't for the fact that I'm paraphrasing now, but it's like it seems like if it wasn't for the fact that he's still signed to Seoul Dynasty, he might not even playing Overwatch right now. Like it's they don't like the state of the current game, is what I read out of that.
And I don't blame them. Like the high rank gameplay right now is fucking
shit
atrocious because right now it's that endless cycle of like people don't want to play it, so less people do play it, which then makes the higher end pool play less, which then means they have to fill the games with lower tiers, which then make the games worse, which then makes people not want to play, which then makes the lower tiers have to come up. And it's this vicious cycle of just like the game's just really not fun to play right now, not just because of the matchmaker, but like a bunch of the systems that they've implemented. There's no reason to grind for high ranks. It's just like they need to show you your number, so it feels like you're working for something. You need to get your results after one game, and then on top of that, the gameplay is just really quite shit as well because of the way that the meta is in. So it's a big problem. No, here's the thing. I actually think the game is much more fun at the lower end. I think they have a big problem right now that I think high end competitive is losing people hand over fist. And we're at that point now where Overwatch 2 was supposed to be the thing that reinvigorated a lot of people's love for the game. It did for a little bit because it's a new thing. It's a shiny toy. They have something to work for. But I think now people are starting to be like, well, I'm back to where I was, a year ago, where I'm like, why am I still fucking playing this game?
Let me put this out there. Right. I'm fucking sick and tired of my fucking high GM games being invaded by motherfucking diamond tank players that can't play anything more than fucking Hog, which is fine. Hog's kind of meta, but Orisa kind of stomps on Hog. I'm fucking sick of having Mercy OTPs that are now GM1 that were plat in fucking Overwatch 1 and have now suddenly gotten fucking sick because they can hold right click from behind a fucking wall. The matchmaking time, like Scott said, has gone up because it's off season. Pros don't want to play the game. So it's like, okay, now they're removed from the fucking pool. The fucking ranked warlords are still playing. But because they're still playing, at least you get to have maybe some sort of fucking good game. But then they have to pull in people from fucking lower ranks. Matchmaking's fucked. It's absolutely fucked. And I don't think it's anything to do with, honestly, the how the matchmaker works. It's just struggling to find people that are fucking decent enough at the higher ends, at the top 0.5% of the player base to actually match together. Like, and to be fair, I play during the day. I don't play during the peak hours, which is after school, fucking 5 p.m. onwards, PST. Like, I'd say that's probably peak hours. I don't have the numbers to back that up, but that I'd assume because people do get that out of school at that point. But there's a fucking good reason why a lot of these pros are just like, oh, I'll just either play casually or like, we'll play some other games during the off season. Tournaments need to happen to kind of inspire this, inspire content and them streaming and like them actually wanting to play the game again, because tournaments are a way fucking different environment to what the rank ladder is. It's just a load of shit. And it's, I think, a lot to do with how the meta is currently panning out, like you said, Scott, and also the almost zero progression you can make when you're near like the top ranks. They need to bring back the fucking SR system. And if they don't, they need to bring it back for at least GM plus, because it is unbelievably hard to tell how well you're doing, especially if you're in top 500. If you are rank 440 and I win 3 games, where the fuck am I? Probably 440 still. I need to win the 7 wins, which takes more than 2 play sessions sometimes for people that only play a couple hours a fucking day. It's all fucked. I need to either have off-season tournaments or what I've suggested in the past, which I had a whole fucking 10-minute video about, having an in-game tournament system that allows you once a month, maybe once every couple of times during the season, to play a tournament with your fucking friends, to inspire ranked fucking play. Like, it's every small little thing that is wrong is culminating in this giant problem of people just not wanting to play right now. It is so shit. It is so shit. It has been one of the most frustrating couple of months with Overwatch, considering how we launched and like how fun it was. And then people were like, "Oh shit, wait a second."
But it's always gonna get less fun the more time that goes on, right? And like, you know, I saw someone tweet about it of like, oh, if they just go back to all the things that made it Game of the Year in 2016, then it'll be Game of the Year again. It's like, it's not how it works, right? The problem is we've been playing this game for 7 years. Like, people are gonna get bored of a game. People are like, the shiny newness of Overwatch is gonna change. And I think, as you said, Overwatch 2 sort of, you know, gave some more life to the game. But at the end of the day, it is still fundamentally the same games with the same frustrations, with the same issues and that kind of stuff. And I think they need to find a way to make the ranked system and like just the matchmaker a little bit better and the gameplay. I'm not going to say Overwatch is ever going to get back to a point where like everyone falls in love with it again. I think that's an unrealistic expectation, but they need to do the bare minimum to make it so that people are enjoying the game, especially at the top end. Like, obviously they're going to cater towards the casuals, and they have been. That's how the rank system exists and why this rank system exists. But they need to give a reason for the top end to play, because there's a lot of content creation that comes out of there. There's a lot of like free marketing. There's a lot of exciting things. Yes, Overwatch is not at its core a competitive game, but you need to provide at least something to the competitive sort of fan base. Otherwise it will die. And like, you see the same thing in like Apex right now. Like, Apex is having a very similar issue that their matchmaking is shit. It's not fun to play. There's no fun casual play, and everyone just stopped playing Apex. And how do you bounce back from that? Like, at some point, people are just going to move on, and we're all just waiting, right? Like, Valorant already took a large market share. For all we know, there is a new game that is in the works that is coming out in the next couple of years that will rival Overwatch, that will put Overwatch in the ground. And Overwatch needs to be a lot more stable than it is right now to be able to live through that.
It's a great fucking rant by Johnson Custa. Yeah. No, I mean, I've said this many times on the podcast that like whenever people talk about old systems, it's like, oh, we should go back before, we should go back to hero pools, we should go back to, you know, before roll queue and like all this shit. I'm like, I don't believe it. But the one system that I genuinely think was better was the like original top 500 system that we had in Overwatch 1. It's just like when you queue into Nepal and you get like a full lobby with like 12 people that are all like top 250, and you're like, oh fuck, it's on. Like, someone's going for rank 1, it's gonna try hard like an OWL Pro or something. And now it's just like top 500, it's just like a mess. It's just,
it means fuck all. And the most one of the more frustrating parts about it, and this is very minute, and it's more like a streamer fucking problem. Why the fuck is your rank not displayed in the fucking game? When I load into a lobby, I want to see my entire team, and I can point out the shitter on my team. I can be like, you're fucking garbage.
And that's what they implemented.
And that is the main
at top 500. But at top 500, it should overrule that. And that's the problem. Yes. At top 500, no one is saying, I don't want my rank shown. You are top 500. Everyone in top 500 should be able to see that rank and be able to portray that rank. Yep. I understand for the fucking silver and gold Andes, but like, there needs to be an overriding system for the top end.
Yes.
And it's not hard to implement because it used to exist.
That's fine. Exactly. Why the fuck is our rank emblem not on this UI, the fucking HUD? Like, you know, people, you probably have this as well, Scott. What rank are you right now? What rank are you right now? What rank are you right now?
Are you playing ranked?
Are you playing ranked? Is this, I could be playing quick play for all you fucking know. Like, the rules in quick play are slightly different. So, you know, when you do push a fucking push map, not a push map, sorry, a escort map, there's only one round. It's all good, baby. You know, that, you know, you can tell when you play one of those game modes where you only need to push once. But like, why is my rank not in there? Why when I load into the game, does it not show the average SR of the lobby, or like the average SR of each team, or like the ranked logo of each player on your fucking team? Yeah, I can understand why you'd be against that, and like, oh, you know, ranked anxiety, you don't want people getting picked on for their fucking SR or whatever. We got private profiles for that, that's fine. But like, especially when you're reaching the higher ranks, like, you've got to show that shit. there is no motivation for you to climb, especially in the like Grandmaster 1, Grandmaster 2 that are in top 500, because you have to win the 7 games and then you eventually get updated and it says top 500 again, yay! And there is no meaningful progression there. Just give us a fucking number, man. There was no problem with the old rank system. I can't name a single person. Maybe there are people out there that didn't like the numbers going up and down because it caused anxiety. Oh shit, I've lost like 5 games. Oh fuck. Oh, I want to stop playing because I dropped from Masters to Diamond, or like, you know, Silver to Bronze or whatever. That's just ranked. Like, you can't be handheld with this 7-win, 20 fucking loss system forever. If you want to just not have the stress of that, go play quick play, go play another different mode.
I also think, like, I would love to hear from someone who is like a gold player, like, because like I have no perspective of like, maybe gold players are having more fun.
The thing is though, even if they're listening to this podcast, they're probably not the person you want to hear from. So as much as we can have gold players talk in the YouTube chat and like give us answers, they're still like listening to fucking Plat Chat. All right, like we want to hear from people who play on console, who play on Nintendo Switch, who you know, I don't know, that aren't involved with the competitive scene, because ultimately a lot of these decisions, it feels from, I speculate that these changes were made for them. And look, Overwatch, it doesn't have to be fucking Valorant, where Valorant is the most competitive esports game, which is like you queue in ranked and it's super hardcore and like it doesn't. Overwatch, you know, doesn't have to be the most competitive game. It can be for fun. It doesn't need to cater to always being the most competitive rule set and everything should be transparent and all that. So yeah, I buy that. Like, maybe it's a net positive for the game with some of these changes. It's just hard because in our ecosystem, or like in our little bubble, we just get to deal with the negatives of, you know, the systems, and we just kind of have to, you know, trust that they're working out as intended.
It's hard to believe that people don't want feedback after every game. It is very hard to believe that someone could go,
I disagree.
I can't wait to win 7 fucking games to find out my new rank.
But you play casual games yourself, right? Like I play games where I turn my brain off. I don't stream it. I'm playing with my Timmy friends, and we're just
Apex.
Even Apex. When I'm playing with you, I'm playing ranked, right? Like, but I play. Yeah. I love fucking ARAM in League of Legends. And you think I want to see a rank or I care about numbers? No, I'm locking Timo sitting in a bush AFK for fucking 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna kill him.
This guy's cheating. He's locking things in ARAM.
That's what I'm saying. Is like Overwatch is catered for a lot of people to a more casual audience, and like that's sort of what I'm saying is like, are those people having fun in Overwatch? Because like our entire lives, like, you know, we're fucking dooming all over the place. Content creators are doomers. Overwatch League people are dooming. Pro players are dooming. High-end players are dooming, right? But like, it's hard to really know because we're in our own little echo chamber of negativity.
Sure.
You know, the irony of what you just said is that it feels like from the higher perspective, the game is heavily catered towards casual audience with all of these, like, how the rank system is, blah, 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 and all that. But then you go there and you talk to them, and they all blame us like, oh, Blizzard only cares about the high rank players in Overwatch League. They think the complete opposite. So it's like, it's weird how we've landed in this dichotomy where, like, we're all pretty sure the game is heavily catered for casuals, and they all seem to be pretty damn sure the game is not catered for them, and it's somehow catered for us.
Yeah. But everyone's always...
It deserves mentioning that I read the YouTube chat during this entire conversation, and there's, you know, a fair amount of people who are just like, hey, it's good vibes. It's good vibes in the metal ranks. And like, you know, like...
In the metal
so
ranks.
I believe you. I'm not saying... Like, I don't think any of us are making the argument that this is the definitive opinion. And I think all of us, actually, on this podcast, we do a fairly good job of providing context that, like, we understand why these decisions were made and why this is the case. And we're asking for strictly top 500 related fixes to this problem. So we're not asking for SR to be updated in every game across all ranks. You know, we're asking for like top 500 in this case because we recognize that it's a problem that is strictly related to us. So
guys, I have a solution.
All right, here goes. Bring it
up.
Go.
This is Aaron Kelly, you listening? Here's the solution. You just make it an option, or whoever's second in charge, and make it an option that you can just opt into. I want to opt into being able to see my SI, my rank, whatever, and you don't have to like wait for that BS, everyone else. So the people that have ranked anxiety, they can just play ranked as normal. The people who actually care about the feedback, the instant feedback every game, they should be allowed to opt into that as an option.
I agree. I think that's a great idea.
Tiny
it's the same
Blizzard.
thing with the thing in the bottom left. But and the crazy thing is like that feels like an obvious thing of like instead of like if you don't want to see it, you don't. But you know what I bet the answer would be is I think people would get anxious about having that setting exist. Like I genuinely think there would be people, and I genuinely think there would be people who would be like, well, I want to see it, but I don't want to see it, and that kind of stuff.
Oh my god!
I genuinely, but like at the end of the day, I completely fucking
you can't
agree
cater
with
those people.
Yeah,
you can't cater to like, well, I don't know if I should have it on. It's like
that's the only thing I can think of because it seems like such a simple solution to make it a toggleable.
Because
thing
you know the other crazy thing is, correct me if I'm wrong. But the SR system is basically still there. It's all hidden, right? So is it not as easy as just I'm making it out to be way easier as it, I'm sure. But to me, it sounds like you just flip on a switch, like just reveal it because the backend system is all already there. The SR already exists in the backend. So to me, it's not like they have to do new maths or anything. It's just about how transparent the backend is to the user. That's all it is from my perspective.
If I put in programmer hat, programmer brain real quick, it's probably not there, but the calculation for your MMR, which is some fucked number, is there. Number? Yeah, well, it's probably some fucking crazy ass string of numbers. All like right. That calculates your MMR.
You're not saying it's a simple yeah. All right, go on.
No,
Sorry.
so like you're replacing the SR system with this, the new like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 system, right? And it's then calculating off the MMR. Your MMR right now calculates into that fucking little like, the little icon, kind of. There's some fucking discrepancies here, there, and everywhere. But like what I'm saying is, it's currently not going from MMR to SR and then to the icon. It's probably not doing that because why would you add in another calculation? It makes no sense. So I totally understand what you mean, but like yeah, they've probably removed that SR calculation that boils it down to a readable number because the MMR is probably, like I said,
no, hang on.
Fucked number.
Is it not correct? Again,
that's programmer hat brain.
Is it not accurate for me to say that like the let's say gold 1 through 5, each one of those individual breakups within gold is just 200 SR per thing? You know what I mean? Like
sure,
so,
100 SR.
So 100, sorry,
but yeah,
100. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, no, you're probably right, but like what I'm saying is the way it is displayed is obviously completely different, and the way to display the SR is probably gone, or at least commented fucking out. Is like doesn't exist anymore. At least as usable code is what I guess. I don't fucking know how the backend systems work at all, but like that's just from like
something
what I would kind of decipher from that. Like that change.
Something has to determine what the difference between gold 1 and 2 is, and to me, the difference is 100 SR. So couldn't they just show that? Like to me, it's like, well, why couldn't they just show that then for people that want to see it?
So I'm gonna say this one more time, and then I want to move on because this is just we're just gonna get fucking bogged down.
You're bogged.
That translation from your MMR to a visible, like readable rank. That translation is now translating to the metal 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It is not translating to the old SR system. I understand what you mean, but like the translation is there, but it's translating differently into a readable.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
Yeah. So like, yeah, it's probably not as easy as what I'm kind of describing it, but I'm just trying to use programmer brain and like. I don't know if that system still exists and they've just, like I said, commented it out and like it's still there, but they've just kind of made a new system beneath it or whatever. But that is what I would think, like how that would work. And I do think the number should be back. Yes. Give it to GM plus players. And I think that would sort a lot of
give it to anyone who wants to see it, I think, but
Sure. But like if people don't really care at the lower ranks and they don't mind this 7-win thing, then that's fine. Like keep that system in. It reminds me of old like League of Legends, or like even Apex, to be fair, nowadays, when you hit Masters, it's like actually just, your number just keeps increasing with RP, you know what I mean? Like it's just RP that goes up and up and up and up and up. In League, it was like Challenger, where you got Challenger, and then your LP would just keep going up and up and up after a certain point in time.
I just love reading chat and someone says, Jaws programmer brain was found in a cereal box.
Dude, I've not started programming for a few years, but I'm trying to make it as simple as fucking possible. MMR is a fucked equation. It translated to old SR. That translation now translates to fucking metal ranks.
Is this where my job as a host is to step in and be like, what are we doing?
Yeah, we're moving on. We're moving the fuck on, bro.
I think it's time to take it. Somehow we're encroaching into 3-hour territory again. When we said it couldn't be done.
That was the goal. You thought I was joking.
We've been ranting about the game for like 40 minutes in the fucking lower third.
We get straight to 3 hours.
Yeah. Moving on to some positive news. There was some stream with Innovation where he was like, I didn't get paid for 2022 and I gave up on the Valiant. So
wait,
that's epic. Wow.
Did he actually not? Okay, see, okay, we need to talk
Scott
about
weigh in. You're the Valiant guy. Scott weigh in.
First of all, not going to spend too much on time with this because this is a rough translation and I don't even trust the translation. So this is not official reporting. It's not official news. We don't know what the fuck's going on. And I have very little reason to believe this translation to begin with. So with that said, this is what it says.
Okay. So all I want to say is like, is it Blizzard's job to make sure people are getting paid? Because obviously they have to sign an Overwatch League contract and the Blizzard provides a part of that contract, right? There's a team contract and then there's a Blizzard contract. There has to be someone, right, who is verifying that players are being paid, right?
That the deposit cleared.
Like maybe it's just bouncing back. Maybe LA Valiant is just sending checks by mail to China and they're just bouncing and no one's ever checked. Because Valiant don't have a fucking...
I will say something else.
PO box anymore.
I'm not doing this as a defense in any way. I'm just providing context. There has been cases before where public people have made statements such as not getting paid and the responsibility was on them. So I'm just adding context. Just because Innovation, in a rough translation that we don't really need to believe, said that he wasn't paid, we don't know why that is the case. So just providing context.
That's a good thing to say because, you know, it's the most prevalent in contenders where people are like, I was in contenders and I didn't get paid. And it's like Blizzard, it comes out that like Blizzard sent them 3 different emails of like, this online portal to go through to get paid so that they have to, you know, provide account numbers, all that kind of stuff. And then the player just never provided it. And then they're like, Blizzard didn't pay me. It's like, well, what did you think they were going to do? Chase you down into your Discord DMs and be like, hey man, respond to your fucking emails, right? Like there are proper chains of command that you could go through.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that's what happened, but I'm just providing context that like, don't take this for as like preaching like the truth, you know. It's very convoluted. So
let me sign the documents.
He didn't get paid.
This is what I understand about the situation with the LA Valiant. So for those that don't know, the LA Valiant. So LA Valiant is comprised of this so far. IGC Immortals Gaming Club owns LA Valiant. They do not operate the LA Valiant. They run a management deal with LGE Lingan Esports, who actually used to handle Chengdu's academy team way back when. Anyway, LGE is the organization in China that actually manages and operates the LA Valiant. And I believe the funding still comes from IGC. So my understanding of the situation is that IGC paid LGE, the management company. So the money has been sent from Immortals to LGE, and then LGE, whatever happened there, the money did not go from LGE to the players. So that's where the issue has been. So for once, the pitchforks can probably be taken down for Immortals. I do not believe Immortals fucked up here. There's something on the China side that fucked up.
Yeah, we have no idea. We just know that Invasion, allegedly, he's like, I haven't been paid. But we don't know why. I don't even know why the fuck I'm reading this. I don't even know. What are we doing? But anyway, not good. I don't care. Innovation, if this is your fault, not good. If this is IGC's fault, not good. If this is Valiant's fault, not good. So, guys, we need to figure out how to get money in the bank.
It has to be someone's job.
Pay him.
Surely there's a HR department for someone here.
Okay? Come on. Bullshit. Someone sign the fucking document.
Ship him a check. Come on now. Send him a check in the mail, all right?
Matt should pay him personally out of his own paycheck.
Yeah.
Dude, just send him the fucking Balenciaga mask he wears, bro. It's probably enough. Just send him that in the post. It'll be fine.
There is another point. He said Blizzard had to intervene for Valiant to participate in 2022 at all, which I tend to believe him.
I'm sure Valiant was like, hey, can we not show up? And they're like, you're legally obligated to show up. And they're like, fuck.
They didn't get nowhere this time around, but or last time around.
And so that's the question of like, with that rumor, right? Obviously, we'll go back into Johnny's pleading the fifth of like, we hold no responsibility. This is a translation. But it's like, Halo said recently, right? That he's like, everything is planned for Valiant to compete next year. It's like, is that true? Like, does Valiant really want to show up again next year?
By the way, the real funny thing about this entire thread about innovation is at the bottom of the cliff notes, it says, might be retiring, can't really understand the translation. So the person that even wrote this thread's like, I couldn't really understand the translation.
Dude, get this shit off my screen.
This is over. This is September.
Get this shit off my screen.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
Didn't fucking ask.
Whoa! It's a second opinion. It's just a second opinion.
I don't give a shit, dude. God, the amount of bullshit that comes out of people's mouths during off-season is unbelievable. Like, just leaks and shit like that. Also, another funny comment on that Reddit thread, by the way, that Gaga and Liga had a fucking argument at the Gauntlet and refused to speak to each other. Very funny. Would like to know details.
Yeah, it's just like, to go back to what Jay's just saying, there's a lot of stuff. Like, I think people have gotten to this off season and people just don't give a fuck anymore. People are just saying shit and it's wrong. People are just saying shit and it's wrong, and everyone's just like, okay.
That's the most Sigma shit ever. Imagine you in 6v6, you and your tank duo literally don't even calm, and you fucking won the gauntlet.
No, they calm, but surely don't talk.
I mean, they
probably didn't have a They probably didn't hang out before the game, but
right.
in the game, you're not gonna just ignore.
You're saying players aren't all best friends?
Yeah.
No, I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, tough.
This off-season blows, dude. I'm sorry. The amount of like
the people who bait posts.
Jack is just.
It's so
Jack, I will say.
I'm fucking fed up with it.
If there were no leaks, this off-season
episode.
would be even worse. This off-season would be even more boring if there were no leaks.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but they're not even leaks. It's just some fucking random person with an anonymous account.
But Jack
That's
was
just people making shit up. Like, people are just making shit up right now.
Yeah. Like, if it were leaks when they were kind of real, like half real, but like, yeah, okay. But then there's leaks of like, don't worry, guys. The Overwatch League is never coming back. Next 2 years, we're flying to fucking Hawaii and we're playing 2v2 fucking mystery heroes. Like, that kind of bullshit. Like, come on, bro.
We should have known this was going to happen when the day after the grand finals, someone wrote an article being like, the Overwatch League's not going to return for 6 months. And everyone just believed it. And then the editor came out and said like, oh, sorry, it was a miscommunication and I was just assuming. And we should have known that it was going to be a fucked up offseason.
But then Scott...
Did anybody remember the offseason?
No, it might be 6 months now.
Did anybody remember the fucking offseason where some motherfucker leaked that the Overwatch League wasn't coming back for a fucking 9 months, 10 months, and then the Blizzard Activision stock price dropped 5% in a single day because the rumors hit the fucking mainstream media and everybody fucking cried?
Fuck
off.
Go back to
the date.
That did happen.
Go back to that date. It literally dropped 5% in the stock price
Blizzard stock
on the NASDAQ.
5% because of
Activision. There's no way Activision Blizzard stock dropped 5%. There was definitely probably a
Overwatch
blip.
League would not move the needle.
There was a
League would not move the needle.
Do you not remember that rumor? And then everybody shit the fucking bed.
I remember the rumor. I remember the moment.
This is the best meme to come out of 2023 is Activision Blizzard stock going down because of League Mafia.
It wasn't League Mafia, not this offseason. It was a previous offseason. It was a previous season. It's not this one.
Overwatch League stuff would not move the needle on Activision Blizzard.
It was a coincidence, Jaws. It was a coincidence.
Maybe it was a coincidence. Shit was funny because it happened around the same time. Just remember that off season where the fucking league was dead and we weren't coming back for a fucking year. Like, that's all I'm saying. There's so many rumors from like bullshit, made up fucking stories. My friend's barista's dog's cat's friend said some bullshit that the LA Valiant is becoming the San Francisco Shock and they're merging teams. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just so much bullshit.
Breathe.
People are bored, is what I will put short that.
Everyone download the Calm app.
I don't blame them because there's nothing happening. So yeah, people are bored.
Tournaments was
this is
not
not this is not the low point episode of the off season. This is what a fucking
Really?
episode.
I think we're circling
Good
the ball
fortune
here.
and fun await in the year of the rabbit seasonal event.
Are we really going to talk about the year of the rabbit seasonal event after you say this isn't the low point of the off-season?
Delicious foods and colorful costumes because the Lunar New Year is here. The year of the rabbit seasonal event begins January 17th for Overwatch 2 and brings new skins to collect, festive maps celebrating the holiday, and the return of the fan favorite fun arcade brawls. You'll also earn free rewards when you log in, play, and watch your favorite content creators on Twitch. You can participate in the 2023 season of competitive Capture the Flag. Oh shit! Finally, you can play the intense free-for-all brawl Bounty Hunter, where if you kill someone, you become the bounty hunter and you generate score for each kill. And if you kill the bounty hunter, well, then you become the bounty hunter. Look at these skins. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Woo!
By the way,
I have that Hangzhou one. I did buy that one.
Oops.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It came with a little
I
koi
wanted to
charm.
show it.
speaking of limited time events, I've still not played that Olympia stuff. I have no idea if it's good or not.
Well, it's gone now, right?
I like it. No, it's 2 more days.
It went today, I thought. Oh, okay.
I know nothing about it. I didn't even bother.
It was free for all with tanks who have superior ultimates. That's all you need to say of like, was it fun or not?
Okay.
Like, it's
So I didn't
just
miss
tanks.
out. I did not miss out.
Not a lot.
If you actually go look at the graphic, I think the most played were Jungle Queen 1, and then actually like Lucio, Farah,
Isn't it
and Dodo
Farah?
or something.
Yeah, it was like Farah was second. or
So
something.
actually,
It was
this
like-
one
it was-
tank was in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, well, you were the Chengdu Hunters in the 2019 Goats year. That's who you were, or Shanghai Dragons. That's what you were doing. You were just flying in the air as far as shooting down at tanks and hoping they would die before you died.
And
It was
if you're
fun.
good at Lucio, you play
It
Lucio.
was. I think casual people enjoyed it, and I think that's
Because
it
the
was
game
okay.
was made for
That's me.
casuals.
Yeah,
I am
that's it. It
casual
was-
people.
It was a cool idea. Like as I said, it was fun.
All right. Bit of a chaotic moment there on stream. I apologize. But yes, there is a new event coming out. And, I'm excited to see some new Lunar New Year skins. Historically, the Lunar New Year skins have been banger. I remember the first Reinhardt skin that came out with like the double-edged axe or something. I fucking love that skin. It was my favorite Reinhardt skin. So
You have Handsome Zenyatta.
there's lots of them.
Handsome,
No one remembers
yeah.
Handsome Zenyatta.
Handsome Zen.
The Reaper skin is pretty cool. So yeah.
Reaper skin's very cool.
Yeah, so there's lots of good stuff. There's cool events happening. I'm looking forward to the festive
How
maps
are
and the game modes returning. So here we go. Do we want to end it there? We did have a World Cup topic in mind, but
What about Hangzhou Spark?
all right, you can talk about.
What do you mean me? It's in the show notes. You vote this now.
Yeah, but
don't follow that shit.
we just had a long episode. It's been a lot of energy.
You said we're going for 3 hours.
No, I refuse.
I'm not going to.
I refuse. I am not going to yell about the game. I'm dooming it out.
Another
let's
Reddit
go.
post brought to you by Ezra, the only guy who actually posts on the competitive Overwatch Reddit. This is his translation once again. Here we go. You go. Coach Roy says, Hangzhou Spark will not have substitute players. This is a low-cost transition year. People's expectations are too high. I don't want them to be disappointed. Here we go. Floor is yours. Let's go, Avro.
It doesn't surprise me given that Spark are a Chinese team. Chinese teams are in a weird spot with the whole NetEase situation. I'm just impressed that Spark still want to go with the Chinese team. I mean, I think that's probably a given that Ray's back. The joke is that Coach Ray only comes in during even seasons. He fucks off during the odd seasons. So, season 6, he's back, baby. He will be the one to deliver the fantasy dream lineup of Shy and Leave together on the same team. Finally get that duo in the same squad. The fact that they're going Chinese means that they either have to go to Korea to Seoul, as we've speculated, or they do some weird stuff in Hangzhou in China and they play on a Korean client. I don't know. They might be the only Chinese team left because there's a high possibility. I think Valiant probably go Korean. Chengdu might go Korean because the cheapest thing for Chengdu to do is to sign Korean players who are in Korea on minimum, like the Valiant, literally just copy the Valiant's homework and do that. How wild would it be to see Chengdu with a Korean roster? That'd be crazy. But yeah, Hangzhou are going all Chinese maybe.
Can we talk about the bottom line of this Reddit thread?
It's the wildest point.
Can we just talk about this?
It's
Chinese
That is
fans
insane.
track the IPs of players via Huya streams, and apparently Lee was in the Hangzhou province, giving them hope. If you are tracking the IP of fucking anybody to do something like this, stop it. Okay, that has to be illegal, right? That has to be illegal.
Chinese fans are the FBI.
Dude, straight up, they are on a different level. But I agree. I think Hangzhou Spark, it'd be cool to have leave on the Hangzhou Spark. Honestly, Coach Ray being like, hey, we're not going to have as many subs. That actually gives me hope for the Hangzhou Spark, because that's the one thing that they do every fucking year when they sign like an 18-man roster and then they just like play musical chairs. Maybe if they only have 6 players, they'll finally just play the best 5 players. And if you have Shy, Leave, and Gushue as the base of that, Spark could be good. So, you know, moral of the story, Spark good. Fans, questionable.
So they have to have 6 people, 6 players, which means they'll either have a tank substitute or they'll have Jinmu playing, because the other rumor is Jinmu might join the team, which would be pretty hot. That'd be a good trio. Jinmu, Shy, Lee would be insane.
I mean, this is literally, Chinese fans, this is literally Weibo, right? This is their Reddit, right? Is there any Chinese journalist that is like reporting like Halo of Stars?
Well, they probably have the IPs of every single player and motion trackers for every single one of them. It's crazy that
in North America we have tracking the Elon jet, and in China they have tracking leave streams.
It's ridiculous.
The combined efforts of the Chinese Overwatch fan base rival the NSA. So they're that good. They are that good.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to Hangzhou without the.
I think Spark will be a good team.
Yeah,
I think even on a quote unquote low budget, 6 people, it's low for Hangzhou because they've always had 11, 12 people. But a lean 6-man Hangzhou squad that might be the only Chinese team. Who knows? We'll see. With like an actual Chinese super team, like a literal World Cup level super team, that's actually quite exciting. So I'm ready.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I do want to ask one question, because we didn't really talk about Profit to Seoul that much, really. And so, you know, there were just a few more questions. We don't know what the team is going to look like. You know, obviously good for him. He wanted to be in Seoul, and this might be his last year, so we'll really cherish his last season potentially, because he is the GOAT after all. But I did want to ask, what team would you have liked for Profit to sign to? Because the reality is that he's signing back to Seoul because he's comfortable, took less of a salary. But it's probably not going to give him the best chance, the best opportunity to actually win the championship. So if you wanted Profit to win the chip, if you wanted to see him win the title, which team would you have loved to see him go to, and who would you have loved to see him play with, rather than just being in Seoul one more time?
Vancouver, Vegas Eternal.
No, come on now. No,
okay,
seriously.
Let me go.
Maybe on Boston instead of Decay.
Proper Gladiators, Houston, Boston.
I was going to say Glads.
I actually think I would have loved to see him go to Atlanta. I would love to see Lip and Profit play together. I think that would be a really cool. With Stalker, right? Like you're just sort of you're taking out Flutter out of that DPS trio and adding Profit. I'm fucking in. Sign me up.
There is a rumor.
What you're just gonna say there is a rumor? You need to elaborate.
And sources I made it the fuck up is that Atlanta had the choice between Stalker and Profit, and they went for Stalker. Rumor source I made it the fuck up.
Here's the thing: I actually don't hate that mentality because of the way that Profit was talking about in that like stream thing of like if he really is resigning himself to like one more year before military service, that kind of stuff. Stalker is a better player to invest in, because I think like. Maybe long term, in short term, Profit might be better, but like Stalker could be a better long term prospect.
I don't know if Profit was available, like even when that happened, because I mean they signed Stalker like the end of November.
That's true.
Quite early, yeah.
So like you know,
as things go,
Profit being released came much after
that might have been before the NetEase deal even happened.
It was around that time, I think. Yeah,
it was around then.
So
man, that team was.
We didn't know the repercussions then, but yeah. I mean, Profit with Fielder, Geo, Lip, Hawk, the Gator coaching Profit.
This team really is just very strange when you look at it. Like Hawk is definitely the imposter. Like he's a great player and he fits on this team. Like if you're just looking mechanical wise, but like Hawk and Gator being like sort of like the tip of the spear of this team in a lot of ways is just very strange. I'm excited to see how it comes out.
Hawk actually speaks Korean. Apparently, Hawk actually does speak Korean. Is that true?
Hold on.
Okay, there's a difference between speaking Korean and speaking Korean, right? Like, can he have a serious conversation, right? Like, we love to talk about how great Jake is and that kind of stuff. He can speak Korean. He's learned. He's been doing it for years, and he's not. Yeah, he can't have a fully fledged conversation with someone. And like, I would be shocked if Hawk was better at Korean than Jake.
Well, it sounds like
Hawk
can common Korean. That's what it sounds like. You can at least common.
Well,
which is easier.
Well, Custa, you've been in those rooms in the Burbank Arena. If you're the only tank and you want to communicate ideas, playstyle, initiations, theory, how the fuck do you do that?
I think in game it is doable. With
it's
like
more
if
likely
Hawks
to talk English, in my opinion.
If he had maybe because a bunch of them have worked on English teams in the past. But if Hawk can do that in Korean, it's actually quite simple to communicate in game. From my experience, the biggest issues with these mixed rosters is when you're trying to communicate an idea outside of game, where you're trying to talk about the intricacies and depth of the game while not being able to use long words, right?
So, who knows what's going to happen? Their coaches are Gator and Wizard Young. So,
dude, this team's a trip. I love this team, man. I'm excited for this team.
I'm stoked. Dude, Boston too. There's so many great teams. Just like I'm excited to watch.
Here's the hopium, right? Of like, fuck the structure of the league and fuck everything. We got some good teams this year. We got the rookies of O2 Blast with the San Francisco Shock. You got Dallas Fuel trying to run it back. You got Atlanta making a super team. Boston making a super team. There's a lot of fucking
cool team you haven't talked about yet. Houston fucking Outlaws.
Houston Outlaws, like they're cooking.
Somehow kept Pelican, got Happy, Fearless Shoes. Like, whoa, what? Excuse me?
Yeah. And then what are Gladiators going to do? Like, how does Gladiators round out their roster? There's a lot of great teams.
Man. As much as I love Profit resigning to Seoul, Kevster Profit, Lip Profit, Pelican Profit, just we missed the opportunity.
Houston got money. Did you see the article that came in from? Is it? I can't remember what her position is.
That was a good article, actually. Yeah, bringing that up.
Laurie Burgess. I know a lot of fans might have been triggered. Laurie's back. No, but it's I can't. What is Chief Operating Officer at the company for Houston Outlaws? This team apparently made $1.4 million in revenue last year.
All right, we have no context whether that's making bank.
Okay,
though.
but I actually wouldn't be surprised with that because
that's revenue.
It would
so not profit.
It comes down to probably how big that HEB sponsorship was, because that really is one of the biggest sponsors that we have in this league, and it's very niche compared to everyone else. But they're in a lot of content, and Houston Outlaws does make a lot of content around HEB and like a lot of like relevance. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of it came from that.
My point is, I don't think every team is like, I'm budget, I make no money. Houston are actually making solid money. Like 1.4 million easily pays for all of your salaries, probably your staff as well. And you might even have some left over to make a bit of profit off the back of that. Houston Outlaws as an org are actually killing it. Like if you're making 1.4 mil on an Overwatch team, I think you're doing super damn well.
I think once you add operational costs, I don't think that's true. I don't know if that's enough to cover.
Okay, maybe they break even, but this team is definitely not spending more than they make. Is my point. So they're not at a loss. This team is not in the red, from what I can tell.
I have no fucking idea. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
with you.
I have no idea.
I have no idea what $1 million
does
to your. We have Pre in the chat. Pre, tell us if 1.4 million is good.
I mean, I can tell you
with $1.4 million.
Johnny. Most teams will tell you that the biggest cost to the team is salaries, combined salaries from most of the players because they're the most expensive, and then also, I guess, staff salaries. So
they are
salaries being the most expensive, 1.4
more than they make.
That.
Yeah,
says Pre. They are without a doubt spending more than they make. I will say it does this 1 million in ad sales.
Fine.
And total team generated revenue this past year was closer to 1.4 million coming from
What is ad sales? Like
what are they spending
advertising
on?
slots like HEB and shit.
Oh, like HEB, so that's okay.
I would assume so, yeah.
And
so they're spending 2.8 million
prize
on what?
money, ticket sales, merchandise.
Well, like think about how take salaries out of it, right? Like they probably had a bunch of big salaries, right? Like let's say they spent they had a pretty good roster. Let's say they spent like 600 to 800,000 on salaries last year, right?
Yeah.
Running and operating a team, remember they were making content, they have team houses, they have all these things, they have like so many different like costs that I think you'd be surprised with how much that shit adds up like over time. Like I don't know, as I said, I'm just speaking out my ass, but like my mind says 1.4 million is not enough to run a team in a year.
No.
Especially for the quality that the Houston Outlaws is
if you're not spending bullshit.
Like Paris Eternal
fucking Valiant or something. Sure.
Yeah, like
But they're not getting sponsorships either.
I mean, if you're spending 200K on a salary, then that's going to cut down your ability to be fluid on 1.4. But I mean, 1.4 should be enough to run a team. I don't know.
One thing, my brain is saying like, just like, how much do they pay on like rent for all of their players as well, like, and all that kind of stuff that you would add?
Math, bro.
I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm doing the numbers. Let me cook.
We're not doing this math. We're not calculating how much they use an Outlaws have to pay
calculator out.
It is another we don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. Like,
my
it's
rough
hard
math,
to
they spend
quantify.
about 125,000 to 150,000 in rent a year.
You just pulled that number out of your ass.
I've crunched the numbers. The numbers are done. It's pure source. Trust me, bro. Yeah, I like, and then like shit, just like I just can't. They have so many staff in the back end as well that they have to pay. It's not just salaries of like.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Like they probably have a couple of social media managers. They have content team that is probably like two to maybe 3 people. Then you have GMs. Then you have coaches. Then you have all that kind of stuff. Like that shit adds up like quickly. I feel like
the big takeaway conversation that also like, you know, dating back to the Yiska conversation again, they talked about like the franchises have relied quite a bit on these broadcast rights deals being sold. And their share of that sale taking place, using that money to pay for these costs, right? But if they're not going to sell the broadcast rights for YouTube or for Twitch this season, then you lose that entire income that could realistically pay for salaries, could pay for housing and all this stuff. So if you lose that revenue stream, then the real question is like, well, where do these teams recuperate some of those losses that make them able to spend this money in the first place? And we don't have an answer for that math, how to fix the teams losing money problem. So I don't know.
Well, they got to make more money somehow, more sponsorships.
True.
I think sponsorships is the one thing that I'm really hoping that we have more sponsorships going into this year with like Overwatch 2 being more popular.
Yes.
Yeah.
Paramount.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm talking league. Like we need better than like, and I think the Butterfinger activation of the playoffs was like incredibly lucrative. It sounded like it did really well. There was a lot of like people talking about it. I know, so like even I went back to a fucking Australia, and my mom, the one thing she wanted back from America was a fucking Butterfinger. She's like, I just want to try one.
Sales,
like,
baby.
Yeah, like the sales. So it's like, I think that happened for a lot of people.
And you can even tell based on the social media from their Twitter as well, that like after the tournament was over, they did a few tweets relating to Overwatch, meaning that like there was an interest in them actually like engaging with the community and keeping those vibes open. So you know, there's no one like working like on Butterfinger per se. Like they hire like a PR agency. That's usually how these big brands does it. Is they hire like a PR agency that operate with a budget, and they're in charge of like taking care of the brand imaging and, you know, stuff like this instead. But it seems like that PR agency representing Butterfinger were like, well, this was a fantastic way to get engagement that we can then forward to the Butterfinger company. So that it would make sense to me if Butterfinger becomes one of like the primary sponsors going into next year because of the successful playoffs run, right? But we need more shit like that. And the big thing that they also talked about in the Yiska interview was like team skins, like selling team skins as a revenue stream. And there's a lot to that. I'd recommend again everyone check out that talk. But it's stuff that I think we've talked about before. That like, you know, if you give teams a share of that, well, that's not going to Blizzard, and then Blizzard are like, well, this is our revenue, and now we're giving it to teams, and like it's fucking complicated. So, but there's no clear-cut answer, but there needs to be a strategy to recuperate some of those losses that you know, we'll encounter because there's no broadcast rights, probably assumingly being sold this year, because who would want to buy them? So yeah, there you go. Well, I'm just calling it. This episode was just. I think
we hit a good points. Let's talk about World Cup next week. You know, I think that's
a part of me is a little bit upset that we were very, very negative and you know.
I know.
Yeah.
I felt the same way. Chat guys.
Whoa,
it's gonna be okay.
What the fuck?
Jack, you were negative. I was with you. We've been Debbie Downers all day. Okay, you know, as much as we're negative, it's because we're passionate. It's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be good. The league will continue to exist in some shape or form. Hopefully, it'll be better, and shit'll run. You know,
there will still be 20 teams.
and there will still be 20 teams. And you know what? It could be worse. We could be 2020 again. Regardless of absolutely fucking everything, we are not going to be 2020. So it's okay. Look upwards, kings and queens.
At least on today on Twitter, I won't be called a Blizzard shill because I get paid by the company and I always defend them.
Yeah, none of us are getting paid right now. We're in the fucking off season.
So
speak for yourself.
What the fuck?
Oh, okay, well,
what deal you got? Hey.
Well, we don't have to go into it, but you know, the circumstances demand different kind of contract structures. So wow. I'm really uncomfortable talking about this now.
Johnny's in the Illuminati.
Johnny is getting
out
paid
here. Johnny's
somehow.
Basically, my contract structure is different, so I am allowed to stay in the country and I don't have to be shipped home to Sweden. So thank fuck Blizzard, you're not shipping me home to Sweden. Thank you for bending stuff and allowing me to stay in the country. It's very nice. I love my dog. I love my wife, or fiance rather, soon to be wife. Great. So,
wedding season.
Bren's player of the week. Who's Bren's player of the week? Innovation.
League Mafia.
Innovation. For
I am not. I refuse to give it to League Mafia. League Mafia. I literally saw a tweet of they said something. Someone commented and be like, "Dude, you literally just make shit up and say it." And the response was like, it was because they got something wrong. They literally just responded with L+ ratio. Like you're supposed to be a notable source that people listen to. And as I said, I love League Mafia.
I just straight up banned them from the Reddit.
Yeah, but they're good memes. Honestly. Great bands, great memes, not a reliable source of information. I want to give it...
Prophet is the player of the week for rejoining Seoul. I don't know.
I kind of want to give it to Prophet as well. One last ride, baby. The GOAT of Overwatch.
I disagree. He shouldn't have signed to Seoul. He's not going to be on the most competitive roster of the year. He'll have a worse chance at winning the championship. I think Brent's player of the week should go to Arnold for convincing him to stay.
That's
Gigabase.
Snake oil salesman.
I'm down.
No, Arnold is not a snake oil salesman.
Arnold has just convinced Prophet to end his career at Seoul Dynasty. He's just said, "Full on this sword."
He's one of the best CEOs we have in the league. What the fuck?
He is. I love him.
He's the opposite. Yeah,
he's a beast.
Yeah, he's selling truffle oil or something. I don't know.
Truffle oil.
Brent's player of the week goes to Arnold for convincing Prophet to stay on the Seoul Dynasty going into next year. That's a dub.
Valid.
That's a dub right there. Yep. Yeah, looking forward to it. Anyway, this was Plat Chat episode 160. I promise next week will be better. I promise moving forward we'll actually produce some kind of respectable content. Because I don't know if this content was respectable. It was something. Enjoy your week, everyone. Take care. Watch Jaws and Custa play Overwatch, and yeah, it'll be great.
We told you guys about how much fun we have playing Overwatch, guys. Come watch.
Let's do it, Scott.
It's end.